Amadeus, 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 Amadeus,
TikTok
Amadeus.
time to rock. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone who's watching from all over the world. Yes, you heard it here, folks. AP was late, very, very late. And then by the time he got
I had a
on,
much better entrance than TikTok Time to Rock. It was Amadeus, 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 Amadeus.
remember that time when I randomly called you and I was on the road and it came on the radio and I hadn't heard that song in years and I called you and you were like getting ready for you were getting ready for a debate and I'm like, hey man, listen to this.
I was just thinking about that earlier today because that song was stuck in my head for some reason when I woke up. And then I was thinking about that. It was on the day of the debate with Andrew Wilson when I was debating about Israel and all that.
Yeah.
And I'm there. That was actually a debate I prepared for extensively. And I'm there walking around, pacing around, reading stuff, thinking about stuff. And then I get a call from David.
Hey
David is
man.
calling me. Hey, look what's on the radio.
That's
That was a
classic.
very important call, though. So
Classic. Yeah, so AP was late as usual, ladies and gentlemen, and then he jumped on, and there was a delay. There was a big delay between us, and so shut everything down, and then we both shut everything down and restarted, and then there was no delay. So don't know why shutting everything down works, but that's what we do. Anyway, so
we are delayed, but not in the way Aladawa is delayed.
yes, we're all delayed, but just in different ways, ladies and gentlemen, just in
Yeah.
different ways.
Yes.
So AP,
Yes.
you heard of this Candace Owens lady?
Yes, I have.
Oh, hang on. I saw Karen.
Hang on. Hang on.
Hang on. Hang on. Let me see. I saw Karen was posting super chats before we started, and they're not. Once you start the live stream, they're gone. But I can look. I can look up what her question was. Just have to go into YouTube and look up past super chats. And oh, hey, there's a couple. Okay,
Hang on.
there's these ones. Hang on. Hang on.
Hang on.
Oh wait, is it not
Hang
letting
on.
me see
Hang
it?
on. Hang on. My question is, I have a lot of moderate Muslim friends, and they tell me that those verses have been taken out of context, and Islam is quite peaceful. So why do people blame all Muslims and the religion of Islam when Judaism and Christianity also have violent aspects, and nobody ever goes around saying that Christianity and Islam are at fault?
Valid points, and I'm surprised that Candace and Piers didn't bring that up because they were trying to figure out. And by the end, they agreed on something. And it was like this was guys. Lots of times when we watch stuff I haven't seen it before, I'll watch the beginning of something and then I'll think, oh, this is interesting, and we should actually cover this. And then I'll just stop and we'll watch it live. This one I actually listened to earlier because I wasn't sure because there's a ton of stuff. There's been debates we haven't reviewed. There's been a ton of shows we haven't checked out and so on. So I was wondering if this is actually cool and was listening to it. And Pierce, I'm not lying. You will see. Pierce actually brought up a really good point that
What?
even I had not thought of. Even I had not thought of it. And he brings up a good point, and I'm like, whoa, that's a
Right.
good point. That needs to be made
Sure.
more popular.
Sure, I believe.
Yeah, on this thing, it only lets me see the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. First 8 words of Karen Fisher's super chat. But
But not in the good sense.
I recall roughly what it said. So what I see is, if you
Dude,
believed you were
I can
better.
just read it here for you, man. It's right here on the YouTube Watch page. You can literally just look it up there.
Oh,
If you believe you
I
were
sat there and
better,
went into the page of past super chats and stuff, and it only gives you like the first several words.
well, you
Okay,
can
what's
go
it say,
into
man?
fan funding on the Watch page, and you can see it right there. If you believed you were better, smarter, and more worthy than others due to your personality disorder, how did you realize you needed a savior? Says Karen Fisher.
Yeah, all that stuff broke down. But yeah, Karen, if you haven't checked out my testimony video, I explain how that just totally broke down. That broke
Look
down.
at-
So
Somebody
I
asked a
went
simple question, nice question, and you call her Karen.
I went from believing that I was the most advanced human being who ever lived to thinking I was the worst human being on the planet. So yeah, that happened. So it wasn't while I'm in the mindset of I'm the greatest person who ever lived that I became a Christian. It was after concluding that I'm the worst person on the planet.
I agree.
Yeah. But no, I explained all that. I explained all that in my why is it still saying I'm disconnected over here? This is on my
Because
laptop.
you're
My laptop's saying I'm disconnected. So yeah, we're having a tech problem. Okay, there we go. I just had to refresh everything, guys. Refresh because we're fresh. So yeah, guys, we're just going to check out as much of this Candace versus Pierce discussion as we can get through. Definitely want to get to a good point that Pierce made, and deserves its own video, or at least to be chopped out of that. I guess I could take the clip and then toss an intro on and play the clip and then make the point. That works. All right. All right, we'll take these first couple of super chats and we'll jump right into the epic debate between Candace and hang on.
But not in the way the Al-Zut jumped into Muhammad.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to hit these super chats, not in the way the Al-Zut hit Muhammad, but there's a good joke in here. Hang on. Let's see. You should turn yourself in for being late to every live stream and for saying the lamest dad joke to Sneeko. That's a good point. I should turn myself in and be locked up. Yeah. That was classic. I told Sneeko, I said, looks like Sneeko is about to have a really bad weeko. And Sneeko didn't find that very amusing, and he stormed out of the room. I've got the video clip.
That was actually a funny reaction. Man.
That was extremely funny. He walked out of the room and closed the door.
And just walked out.
And then he walks back in and he gets all close to the camera and just stares at the camera. Doesn't say anything. Doesn't say anything, and then just moves on. That was classic. So I realized Sneeko, because keep in mind, back then I didn't know anything about Sneeko. I only knew about Sneeko because he's converting to Islam. Check it out. And I made a video about him, and then found out he's actually funny. Let's see. Thoughts on U.S. military air strikes versus Boko Haram?
I haven't really followed it, so there's not much I can say about it. But to what I have seen is simply that the United States has, with the permission and coordination of the Nigerian government, conducted airstrikes in Nigeria against ISIS-affiliated groups, and has began pounding them really, really hard. Not in the way the Al-Zut
or the Illuminati
pounded Muhammad and the Warner. But so that has been going on. The U.S. has been actually doing airstrikes there, and of course it's a whole new controversy. Why is America getting involved? I would have to sit down and look more into the details of it to really have an opinion on that.
Yeah, I've wondered for years because Robert and I, when we did a show for a long time called This Week in Jihad. And before anyone asked, Robert was just doing way too much stuff, and he had to cut back on all the stuff that wasn't immediately connected to the stuff that he absolutely has to finish. So, but anyway, we realized that we could do a show every week just on the jihad in Nigeria because it's just endless. It's endless. And along the way, we kept having to wonder whether the Nigerian government is complicit in this. In other words, they actually want the terrorists going around, killing Christians and so on, or are they just really unable to deal with it? If the Nigerian government has said, "Hey, it's a U.S., it's okay we agree that you can go and bomb Boko Haram or something like that," it would sound like they are just actually kind of helpless against them, and that they would like the United States to help them. That always leads to problems, because and keep in mind, I don't know anything beyond reading a couple tweets. We, as AP pointed out, we haven't looked into this, but assuming that this bombing was with the consent of the Nigerian government, not the way the Illuminati has the consent of the Warner, and Al-Zut had the consent of Muhammad.
Very important clarification.
But if it's with the consent of the Nigerian government, seems legit. They would be saying, yeah, we want your help taking out these guys to help them, to help us not let them keep killing people and so on. The issue is there's a problem. If you have a huge Muslim population, which Nigeria does, and then the government forms an alliance with the United States government, yeah, those officials don't tend to do very well in the long run because people point out that they're siding with the kuffar against the Muslims. And guess what? You had that in Afghanistan, right? So you see how well that worked out long term. It can work out short term. Long term's pretty rough.
The thing is, the bad thing is that as a result of much of what has been said about Nigeria and the oppression of Christians in Nigeria, many people might think that, especially in light of the current American airstrikes on supposedly ISIS-affiliated groups, people might think that it's ISIS-affiliated groups that are vastly responsible for the oppression of Christians. That's not entirely true, unfortunately.
Usually
It's
those
actually
Fulani herdsmen.
yeah, it's usually it's the tribesmen, it's the herdsmen who fight for land and fight against Christians. Other groups in the land are responsible for. I think the majority of oppression of Christians in Nigeria is not a result of ISIS-affiliated groups. It's actually due to different movements and different organizations and groups, and also due to political pressure from the northern parts of Nigeria, which are Islamically ruled, and as far as the government being complicit, the president of Nigeria is a Muslim president who has repeatedly denied any oppression of Christians in Nigeria, and who has repeatedly denied that Christians in Nigeria are in a bad situation or facing a genocide, when every objective analysis out there makes it very clear that Nigeria is currently in the top 10 of countries where Christians are brutally endangered and persecuted and all that. So the whole ISIS-affiliated groups and Boko Haram and all that, they are one thing, but they are not actually the main driver of the oppression of Christians there. So this whole issue of airstrikes against those groups will not really solve the problem. It might only solve a problem insofar that ISIS-affiliated groups usually do not like to, work with or listen to any governments. So they might be, even if they are a factor that is oppressing Christians, they are also the government and the president probably also do not want them around because they are a danger to everyone, the ISIS-affiliated groups. But again, they are not the main problem. They're just it's a small side of the oppression of Christians there.
Fox here says, I would give up my rear end if you guys can start on time for once. So we have someone who understands the thinking of the Warner, that in order to get something you want, sometimes you have to get it. Sometimes you have to give a little to get a little. That's the Warner's motto. And Fox McCloud agrees. Never got your overall thoughts on Nick versus Pierce's. I still haven't watched it. Did you watch that?
I am not really. I mean, I was going to watch it when it first came out, but then I couldn't go live and all that, so I didn't. I didn't want to watch it on my own because the only time that I would actually sit down and watch it is to review it. I personally have no interest in watching that exchange. It's like two of the most annoying people sitting and talking to each other.
But what about the Jews?
Hang on. That sounds pretty
Jews,
racist.
but the Jews.
Hang on, that's despicable.
You're ignoring the Jews. What about the Jews?
Yeah, that's our kind of assumption on how things went. Anyway, AP, if you want to review that, I'm always here. Please comment on the irony. The BBC has Jimmy Kimmel address the UK public for a Christmas message. He talked how the USA and Trump are fascists, yet the UK Labour government arrests folks for Facebook posts. Haven't been following that story, so don't comment, but yeah, that sounds stupid.
The funny thing is with those comedian American hosts, I don't know which one is which because they're all the same to me.
That is true. Did Israel make you late? No shekels for me. Don't need it. We got the shekels right here. Boom, in your face.
In your face.
Tell us. We got stacks of shekels. We got endless trunks of shekels.
Face,
we got endless trunks of shekels.
Wait, this is Polish money.
Oh,
yeah.
And Polish money. Hang on. I have moderate Frankish friends. That sounds about right. AP, hang on. I don't know why you have never thought about my peaceful Muslim friends who don't believe in violence. One is Sheikh Mike Wingelinge.
Oh, that's a good point.
It's a powerful point. Have you seen the Somaliland news? Why don't you look that up real quick?
I don't care about Somaliland or Somalia.
There may be Somaliland news. Who's the worst, pre-Christian D. Wood or Mo?
Israel becomes first country to formally recognize Somaliland as independent country.
Huh. Interesting.
I know that some people that I am in contact with were promoting Somaliland and the Somaliland movement or something like that as a hope in that terrible place, but I don't know much about it.
Who's the worst, pre-Christian D. Wood or Mo? I would say Mo, insofar as he influenced billions of people to also be screwed up.
I would say David.
EP and D. Wood, when you going to live stream with Ray Ibrahim? Oh, I'm sure we'll have some dope live streams coming up. I know he had a new book that came out, so yeah, just definitely want to check that out. Yeah, sometime next week, I'm going to jump on with Robert because Robert has a new book out about Islam's impact on women, so that should be cool. But yeah, I should get Raymond on at some point. Let's see. Have either Dr. David Wood or AP heard that Muslims believe non-Muslims are fallen angels? I saw body cam footage of a Muslim woman saying that. No, that is new to me. Doesn't sound like she has any clue what she's talking about.
That also wouldn't make sense within the theology of Islam, because in Islam you don't believe in fallen angels, and Muslims don't believe that that Satan, for example, is a fallen angel. They believe that he was created from fire as a jinn.
Yeah,
because
jinn can rebel. Jinn can rebel. Angels can't.
Yeah, that's what Muslims believe.
Where did Jesus say, "I am God, worship me" in those exact same words? JP Uncut has brought up the greatest refutation of Christianity ever from Muslims. I would take a zut to join the frankest beekeeping order of Egyptian pilots. Who wouldn't? Thanks to the layman apologist. Please update on Jewish atheist woman who was moved to tears when reading the Gospel of Mark. Did she become a Christian? She seemed very intelligent. You catch that one, AP?
No, who is that? What? I haven't heard of that.
Rebecca.
What?
She's still an atheist as far as you know, right?
The Rebecca?
Yeah, Rebecca Bar Saif or whatever.
I haven't heard of that.
We watched the video yesterday because we went live for Christmas to show the the traveling Klatz video where he showed the most epic Christmas ever in Jerusalem. And dude, hijabi Muslims with Christmas decorations on them and stuff like this. It was Jews, it was Messianic Jews, it was Christians and Muslims all celebrating Christmas right there in the old city of Jerusalem, the very streets we walked over and over again while we were there. The whole place was totally decked out. Anyway, so we were watching that during a live stream, but I also played a clip from Rebecca where she commented right after reading the Gospel of Mark. She was reading the Gospel of Mark. And the reason I wanted to bring it up is just because she said something that's like totally, it would never occur. It would never occur to me or vast majority of other Christians to think about this while reading the Gospel of Mark. But she was crying because reading the Gospel of Mark, it was telling her about first century Jewish life in Israel. And, this is before the fall, before the destruction of the temple, and then expelling them from the land in the 2nd century and so on. And she was getting a glimpse into first century Jewish life before the destruction of the temple and so on. And so that was interesting because I'd never occurred to me that a Jew would be looking at that going, "Wow, this is like first century Jewish life. This is interesting."
That's kind of funny because I talked with her quite a lot about Christianity, about the New Testament, about Jesus and all that. And I talked to her lengthily about this kind of stuff when we were in Israel. I talked with her about that stuff on the phone and messages and all that. And she's always had this kind of stance of a lot of respect for Christianity and a lot of respect for the message of Christianity and of Jesus. But kind of this whole, I don't know, it sounds like kind of weird and all that. But that attitude, it's like it reminded me kind of my own attitude that I had, although mine was a little bit more positive. But that she kind of had this that she has this very respect while also dismissing it attitude toward Christianity. So it's very interesting to me how she would react to that. I got to watch that and maybe ask her about what's up.
Yeah, it's
kind of
pretty
fun.
cool. But apparently apparently she's going to read the New Testament and like share reactions to stuff. So anyway, that's
That's nice.
good. Good. I mean, yeah, Jewish. She was an atheist when we were there. I don't know if she's ever changed. She like considers herself agnostic or anything else. But since then, but that's an interesting topic. So
I don't want to speak
smart.
for her, but she's she's kind of she has this generally atheistic attitude, but also grants the whole divine aspect of it all. It's very complicated. She's very intelligent,
Mhm.
but I'm also surprised by the fact that she cried, because considering that she's a total psychopath.
Yeah, and then she was saying that she's like, "Oh, I hate showing emotions." She didn't say it like that, but that's what she said. Merry Christmas to Mike Winger. Ha ha, good one, guys. No one's ever thought of that joke. Guys, we don't repeat jokes here on these shows. If we make a joke, it's done. It's done. If we were to make a joke about the Warner, once we've made the joke, it's done. If we were to make a joke about Muhammad on the night of Al-Zut, one and done. Or 30 and done. Ash says, unfortunately, the Nigerian prince known for his beautiful emails has been hit in an airstrike. Sad cost of war. Darn, man. He was just about to send me $9.7 million in exchange for my bank info on how to transfer it.
What? He was supposed to send me $5 million.
That was going to fund us for the rest of our lives, and the U.S. screwed it up. Hey, check this out.
I was in contact with him when he was supposed to send me $5 million, and I even made an agreement with him. I sent him $50,000 myself to get $5 million in return. Then he disappeared. I don't know what happened to him. So.
Yeah, smart investment, but yep, bad things happen in war. Fulani ex-Muslim here. Fulani jihad since 19th century. Yep, that jihad been going on a long time. What if the real reason you're not allowed to draw Mo is because he's actually really, what is this, minging? What is that? What does that term mean?
No idea what that means.
I don't know we don't know all the latest lingo.
Whatever the last thing that you just said, don't say that ever again.
Okay. Pray for Bangladeshi minorities. Yeah, things suck over there. Raise awareness. Yeah, and it's also a problem that when there are converts, the churches don't want to bring the converts in because, one, they're not sure if they're real converts or if they're trying to infiltrate. And on top of that, even if they're sure this is a sincere convert to Christianity, they know they'll become a target. If they're like, hey, come join our, then you're the church that has the ex-Muslims in it, in a place where they're losing their minds, attacking Christians, Hindus, everyone. New term, slim wit use. Hakikachu is a slim wit. It's not bad. Hang on. Are you saying Muhammad was actually sexual?
Yes.
Isura 434, my wife for confusing D-Wood with Mike Winger. Ended up on the couch. I blame Mike Winger, as you should. That is the best. That is the super chat of the day. Why so many Turks are butthurt, not in a zut sense, about the Israel-Greece-Cyprus alliance? Is that part of your plan to retake Constantinople?
Because Turks feel very, very strongly about Greece, and they feel very strongly about Cyprus because in their mind they're supposed to be controlling all of that little island, along with the rest of the world, of course. And they don't like Israel, so those three getting together. If you just threw Armenia into that thing, which unfortunately won't happen because of the Israel-Armenia relationships, that would be a complete nightmare for Turks. But that's how Turks feel about this.
Can we agree that the entire world needs to unite against Turks?
Yes.
All Turks, everywhere. You heard it here, folks. As Rebecca cried thinking about Jewish life in 1st century, so the Muslim man cries thinking of 7th century Arabia and the freedom to grape and pillage. Yep, and to enslave
Powerful.
tons of people and so on. I'm
Beautiful.
asking you guys, the rest of the church in the chat, to pray for me. Things have been a spiritual struggle lately. So, guys, this is Sarah, apostate of Allah. You know the channel. It means ugly. Sorry for my Australianness. Okay. Oh, so yeah, we still don't know how to pronounce it, minging or minging, but apparently that means ugly. Huh. Interesting.
Nobody speaks Australian here, and nobody has any obligation to speak Australian.
Yeah, the only Australian word I know is Foster's. That's Australian for beer.
It is a giant prison population, so what?
I know. Yeah, and they develop their own language, but it's all like prison lingo, which you'd think I'd know, but it's on the other side of the planet, so they have their own prison lingo there.
And the funny thing is, it is basically Mars. I'm not even sure why Elon Musk is trying to go to Mars, because you already have Mars down there, and it's a Mars populated by a prison population speaking an unintelligible language. What is this?
Yep. Yeah. So, guys, if you're ever in Australia and you want a beer, don't walk in and say, "I would like a beer." They don't know what you're talking about. You walk in and say, "I'll take a Foster's," and then they'll give you a beer.
Nice.
All right, everyone.
And then you get killed by some weird wild animals.
Yeah, I know. They do have a lot of weird animals down there. From the Horn to the Chad, one state solution for East Africa.
Nice.
That's pretty good, pretty base. All right, let's go ahead and check out Piers versus Candace Owens. Two of the great, most brilliant minds of our time. Let's check it out.
Do it.
No matter what your opinion is about Candace Owens, and very few people don't seem to have one, she has a definite knack for commanding attention. Many people have been openly enraged by her
That's
theorizing on the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Many have been captivated nightly by what they see as either a thrilling real-time investigation into a colossal cover-up or a cynical strategy to exploit the most emotive and consequential news story of the year. Several of the Candace Owens claims are focused on Turning Point USA, the organization funded by Charlie Kirk and now run by his widow, Erica, who last week issued this firm request.
She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies, and she is making a huge amount of money on it. She is building her business off of these lies. What do you want to say to her and the other people that are putting these lies out into the world right now? Stop. That's it.
I don't think, if I recall, I was listening to it earlier, so I listened to the entire thing. I don't think Pierce brings this up, if I recall. I don't recall hearing him say it. But AP, back when Candace was starting all this stuff, didn't she say that there were two people who could tell her to stop and she would stop?
Yes.
Who were those two people? Was it the Pope?
No.
Was it Nick Fuentes?
Nope.
Who were the two people, if you recall?
Her husband and Erica Kirk.
So interesting. Not her priest, not the Pope, no one. But anyway, yes, she said the only two people who could tell her to stop were Erica Kirk and her husband. And here, I think Erica was drawing on that. She said, stop. And Candace has made it clear she is not going to stop. So I'm guessing even if her husband told her to stop, that she would not.
I disagree.
If he insisted and he said no means no, she would not stop.
I disagree on that. I think if her husband told her, hey, go out there and say, I'm a clown and I love it, she would literally go out immediately and say, hey, I'm a clown and I love it. Okay? And nobody can tell me anything about it because being a clown is totally cool. Okay? Okay? And Israel is trying to tell me not to be a clown. But I know that being a clown is the right thing. I think her husband totally has the influence on her and totally pulls the strings. I think that much of the stupidity that she spews, including the whole defense of Andrew Tate, also comes from her husband. But she definitely has no respect for Erica Kirk. She initially tried to make it look like, oh yeah, I totally respect Erica Kirk. Yeah, it's very clear to me that Israel killed Charlie Kirk, and I'm not saying that Israel did kill Charlie Kirk, but we all know that Israel killed Charlie Kirk. And if you ask me if Israel did kill Charlie Kirk, and if I ever claimed that Israel killed Charlie Kirk, I would of course say that I would have never made that claim, because I would never claim that Israel did kill Charlie Kirk. But we know for a fact, although we don't know, but we don't know, but we know that Israel did in fact kill Charlie Kirk. And the only person who can stop me from saying that is, of course, because everybody else respects her, Erica Kirk, until Erica Kirk actually tells me to stop, because then I will just say that she's an evil person who also has her dirty fingers in this. That's basically what she did.
Yeah, I think if Candace's husband said, "Hey, that's your husband. I command you to stop," there would be like a live stream the next day saying that her husband is connected to all of this. And one other cool thing that Pierce did was he gets her to try and say what she think happened and who's actually involved, and she is sticking to, yep, it's Israel and the Egyptian planes and the U.S. government and some people at Turning Point who at least are involved in a cover-up. So, yes, she does have this massive grand conspiracy in mind. So, but anyway, Erica just said stop.
Here's the thing. There are some people who go around and say, "Oh yeah, of course." Now, Candace Owens is totally exaggerating and she's making up things that's probably not true. But of course, we can't ignore that there are lots of unanswered questions about the incident. I have to say, there are no unanswered questions. There's literally nothing that is unanswered. We have all the evidence. We have multiple camera angles that directly pointed at the moment that Charlie Kirk was murdered. We can exactly analyze where the bullet came
the
from.
Illuminati sense.
Yes, approximately, at least. We see that he was clearly killed with a bullet that came toward his neck that inflicted a fatal injury. We have the bullet. We have the weapon. We have the suspect who was not under the protection of any entity or any organization or any being, whatever it is. He was directly turned in by his own parents. We have him in front of court. We have him admitting to doing it. There is nothing unrealistic and nothing weird about the shooting itself, or about the handling of the weapon, or about the bullet and how it was shot, and any of that. There's nothing suspicious or weird on the scene, unless you want to take like one clip or something and then don't actually listen to what that is about, but start asking questions in the Candace Owens sense, and then create your own stupid conspiracy theories about it. There is nothing about this incident, nothing about the killing of Charlie Kirk that is in any way suspicious or weird. The questions have very much been answered. We have the killer. We know who it was. We know that it was a sick individual, and that's it. Anyone who at this point goes around and says, "Oh no, there are too many questions about this. None of it makes sense. There are too many things about it that don't make sense." I'm sorry. You either don't know what you're talking about, or you are grifting. There is nothing about the incident that doesn't make any sense. Everything is very, very straightforward and clear. And those who do spend their time trying to turn this into a giant conspiracy theory are actually doing nothing except grifting, helping the grifters, or helping the murderer and similar perpetrators who also want to commit attacks like this. Because when somebody does something evil like this, and people then go around starting these wild conspiracy theories about it, what you basically are doing with that is you are encouraging others to also engage in something like this and to create a new mystery, or even to get away with it. We know the evil, sick murderer. Have him judged.
Yeah, I'm with Pierce on this, because Pierce is saying, hey, I'm open to some evidence proving me wrong and stuff, but I really, really think that this is the guy who shot him, and that when this all goes to trial, we're gonna see that, yeah, we do know what happened. There are some other issues, like was his boyfriend actually in on it? And were those texts written just to exonerate the boyfriend and things like that? So you have things like that. And there are lots of details where people are like, hey, I don't get this. This doesn't make a lot of sense. And so there are things that could be clarified and so on, but kind of looks like a guy climbed up on the roof. And even in this, matter of fact, I'll just wait till she says it, but she's saying stuff that is like has been proven idiotic and just completely wrong, and she's still saying it. It's like, what kind of investigation is she doing? But let's go ahead and watch, and we'll get to it.
That's all I have to say. Stop.
Well, shortly after that, Candace Owens was invited to a lengthy private meeting with Erica Kirk, which is now the catalyst for frenzied speculation that she may be having second thoughts about some of her theories. She's also, I should add, marking the release of her new book, Make Him a Sandwich. And amid all of that, she joins me now for her first interview since the meeting with Erica Kirk. Candace Owens, welcome back to Uncensored.
What are you doing here, Candace? You should be making your husband a sandwich like your book says.
It's good to be with you at the end of another year.
Yes, and what?
Don't they eat like cucumber sandwiches or some crap over in the UK? Like rich people, and they eat cucumber sandwiches. Anyway,
Hey, stop talking trash about the UK, man. It's
make
not
me a
Australia.
cucumber sandwich with extra cucumber. Who thought of that? Anyway, I don't know.
Year it's been, not least for you. It's fair to say your fame continues to rise. Infamy, some would put it. But you're always a welcome guest on Uncensored. Let's get to this extraordinary meeting that you had with Erica Kirk. It came right after we saw her say in that CBS town hall, you should just stop with the conspiracy theories.
And Candace didn't.
So who approached who about you guys actually getting together?
I think, Piers, I think it's who approached whom. Don't mean to correct your British language, but
Whomst approached
it's
whomst.
whomst approached whomst.
Whomst approached whomst.
I was approached by Turning Point after Blake Neff, who works on Charlie's show,
Blake.
sort of fumbled this invite. It was, I'd almost say it was a fake invite publicly. And then in the middle of the night said, oh, Candace is not able to be here tomorrow. And they never messaged me. And I think there was quite a bit of public backlash with how they went about it. It just was just not the way that we try to set meetings. And so what happened after was they reached out to.
Hey, you know what's funny? She's like, hey, they invited me to something, but it comes across as fake. It's not real. Hey, Candace, you should try to set up a debate with some of the Dawa guys. You ain't seen nothing yet. You ain't seen nothing yet, sister.
The funny thing about her approach, man, is just you could literally walk down the road and say hello to her, and she would talk about this as like, I mean, why did he say hello to me? I mean, there's something weird about the way that he said hello, and I really wasn't sure about how to respond to that because
Netanyahu told him to say that.
Something about it and something in the tone of how he said
an Egyptian
hello.
plane flying overhead. Coincidence?
And guys, believe me, I have these feelings. I can tell. I can feel when
I'm
something is
vibing.
off.
There's a vibe.
And something wasn't vibing right with me.
Yeah.
So when that guy
don't
said
know
hello
now.
to me, yeah, when that guy said hello at the store, I knew that something was going on.
I knew. I got the vibe. I don't know, but I know this man's trying to assassinate me for Bibi Netanyahu, and I'm going to do a 75-part series finding out who else is connected to this.
And you probably won't believe me right now, but I just had a dream about this. And I'm telling you right now that in very, very soon, in near time, everything will come out. And I will have all the evidence, and it will be shown, and everybody will see then and there, without any questions, that it was actually Israel that said hello to me that day.
Yep. Okay.
Me, said Erica would agree to do a live stream, just the two of us. And then after Erica's PR blitz, they reached out again and said that they felt that it was better for us to meet one-on-one as opposed to us sitting down having Megyn Kelly moderate, which was the idea originally.
Fight.
And so where did you?
We all concluded that you guys should meet one-on-one. in the octagon. That would break some record. That would break all records for the octagon. Pay-per-view, my goodness.
Have your summit meeting.
At a hotel here in Nashville.
And a lot of your, as you know, a lot of your supporters, fans of your show,
Here in Nashville?
think that you may have been lured into a trap. Did anything while you were there make you think you were being lured into a trap?
I don't know that a lot of my fans think that I was being lured into a trap. I think ahead of time they had
Yeah, they did.
some
Is he
concerns,
going
obviously.
to? Is he going to play that clip? So as soon as the meeting was over, Candace actually went on her show and said, "And you guys told me not to drink water, and I didn't drink any water. I brought my own water." Like she was implying that they might be trying to poison her during that meeting or something.
Yeah. It is weird. I mean, it is weird given her view of how many different people and groups are involved in this massive assassination. It's like, wow, it's weird that they all sit back and let you completely expose it little piece by little piece. And wow.
And the funny thing is, everyone is apparently involved in this conspiracy, in this great conspiracy to endanger her and to threaten her. And among all that, she trusts all these strangers online who leave her messages on what to do.
Yeah, isn't it weird? Weird.
Interesting stuff.
Because I think in general, after you see a public assassination and you start tracking so many lies that are happening, there's going to be an understandable amount of angst that people feel. And I certainly felt the angst as well.
There's literally-
I've obviously been
There's literally not a single lie that has been officially told that she has actually proven to be a lie during this entire investigation of hers.
Yeah, she pointed out. She said, and I pointed out things that were lies, and they said they were mistakes. But and she gets to that. She's getting to that.
very clear that I am suspicious of some of the characters that are at Turning Point USA. So I totally understand why the public was concerned.
Including Andrew.
When you saw
Kovacevic
Erica,
and-
she was obviously angry about you in that CBS town hall. What was her demeanor like when you met her?
Well, I don't think that she thought she was angry in that. I think maybe that was the characterization from the public. I certainly thought she was angry as well. And she sort of clarified that she was a bit annoyed by the questioning, the way in which Barry had set up the question with the podcaster Candace Owens, which I think was definitely being driven more by Barry Weiss's feelings towards me, long-running feelings towards me, than it was perhaps for the benefit of CBS and trying to pretend to be an impartial journalist. So I think she was frustrated by the line of questioning, is what she explained to me.
So how would you categorize the 4.5 hours? If you were looking at it in totality, what was the tone of the conversation? What do you think you both got out of it?
Well, for me, answers to the questions of trying to understand why there were so many Turning Point lies and why instead of people acknowledging that these are lies, I felt that there was this billion-dollar psychological operation to convince people that Candace is just crazy. These aren't lies. These are made up. And so
billion-dollar operation to convince people that Candace is lying. Billion-dollar operation to convince people that Candace is lying. Yep, they put $1 billion into it. Just like how much did they put into? Weren't they? Wasn't it like people are going to assassinate Tucker or something back then? I don't remember. I remember there was some big pile of money. Oh no, it was Netanyahu. Netanyahu had this huge fund of who knows how many millions of dollars to discredit Tucker. But that's nothing now. Now it's $1 billion to silence Candace Owens. So just guys, when people are criticizing Candace Owens, like us right now, just know it's all part of this $1 billion thing. It just seems like that's a thing now. Anytime anyone disagrees with you, you just say, "Oh yeah, there's $1 trillion operation, and it's all to fund people saying this stuff." And I guess then you don't have to take it seriously. Cool. Smart. We should start doing that, man. Anytime anyone disagrees with us, it's because they're getting paid by I don't know, ISIS or something.
Yeah.
I was very refreshed that they owned up to the lies. That was a great first step. And I think
Owned up to the
you know
lies.
what motivates that, maybe because despite having what I would assume to be the best PR agents and crisis PR agents in the world, we're moving toward a different world where people don't really care, you know, if you are friends with the people at what is it WME and CAA and what they can do for you. That sort of power is ineffectual in this day and age. And so I think they recognize that, and that the public simply doesn't believe the story that they've been fed, and the psychological operation to convince us not to believe our
$1 billion psychological operation, Candace.
own
It's
eyes.
so funny,
Or
the vagueness of it all, what she describes here. It's just a bunch of word salad vomiting. But anyway, continue.
to trust our common sense instincts has failed.
Okay,
And I think
so-
on their end, they got more clarity on how I figured out certain things, more clarity on why I am convinced that there are people that are inside of Turning Point that are dirty. And I was able to share more with them off record. And I think that they got more clarity in exchange.
Before we get into some of the sort of specifics, is there not a danger here? I've already seen it in some of the reaction from people that follow your show. Is there not a danger that in seeking to be the one that exposes the truth, and I don't know the truth about what happened to Charlie Kirk. I work on the assumption that this lone, twisted, weirdo Tyler Robinson killed him for whatever.
Piers, you can just leave it at I don't know. No matter what comes afterward, we already know you don't know anything. You don't have to clarify. We know you don't know.
And I don't not know, but I don't not know. You know? Start talking like Candace, man. That's what really resonates with her fans. Piers.
Yeah.
And I suspect personally that is how this will play out. However, I have an open mind in the sense that we still don't really know what happened with President Kennedy's assassination. I found the attempted assassination of Donald Trump very odd in the way that that's been handled by the authorities and so on. I'm not naive. As a journalist of 40 years, I'm
You're naive about Islam after being a journalist for 40 years, Piers.
not naive enough to say every
One of the most naive out there.
single thing you've been saying is obviously baloney, because I don't know. And we'll get to some of the more specific details. But is there not a danger, Candace, that by having a 4.5-hour private meeting, rather than doing it in public, that all you're really going to do, collectively actually, you and Erica Kirk, is fuel the conspiracy theories about what you may or may not have discussed in that meeting, what part of the stuff that you've been broadcasting on your show she agrees with and doesn't agree with, and so on. Is there not a danger this is the least transparent way of going about trying to get solutions here?
Well, I'm a very transparent person, so my preference was to do it publicly, but I took the offer, obviously, to have any conversation, because if I hadn't done that, then I think everything I've been doing would have appeared disingenuous. Like, oh, Candace is pretending that she wants answers to her questions, but when she got this offer, she suddenly said she didn't want to go because it wasn't public. They would have felt like I was moving the goalpost.
David, pause for a second.
Right.
Now, Piers is asking the question, wouldn't it be better to do all of this publicly instead of doing it privately? Because doing it privately fuels all these things. Can you imagine how it would have how it would have gone if it was a public conversation? You have Erica Kirk on one hand, who is crying whenever she's on camera, and then wiping her tears and putting on a smile, and being firm, and then being already trash talked for whenever she has wiped her tears and she puts a smile on them. Why is she not crying? Looks like she's not sad at all. What kind of wife is not sad about her dead husband? So under constant scrutiny, she's obviously not emotionally very well right now, as any person would be, except David would, because he's a psychopath. However, so she's under immense emotional pressure. She's constantly crying and trying to collect herself and standing firm. And people really want, or somebody like him, like Piers Morgan, really wants her to sit down with Candace Insane Owens and have a public conversation where the main motive and the main focus is just to convince the public, and for Candace Owens to say the most absurd and insane and messed up things just to win the public over. Can you imagine how messed up that would be, especially toward Erica Kirk? I mean, you don't have to take a side or anything. It's just, that's just that's an incredibly stupid expectation.
So I was willing to take anything, and from their viewpoint.
Dude, stop
it. Not like the Warner, Candace. Not like the Warner.
They felt like after the CBS News and the Fox News hits that Erica did, it was, my understanding was that they felt that it was a good idea to bring the temperature down first by having us sit down and communicate. And that doesn't mean that they necessarily say, oh, well, that's it. Now we're not going to have any other public discussion. I'm hopeful they will. I think they should. I totally agree with you. More transparency, the better.
Who else was in the meeting? Erica was there. Who else was there?
Justin Strife, who is the COO of Turning Point USA, and my husband was only there for a portion of it, and my cousin.
So there were no lawyers, for example?
No lawyers. But they did phone their lawyer because I asked the question. I was like, look, I'm open to being wrong, obviously. If there is something, which I think the media was kind of hinting at, that they had more, but they couldn't share it with the public, I said, I'm happy to keep my mouth shut, and I want to feel good walking out of here that there is something there. There is some sort of a smoking gun, and I will tell viewers just to be patient. And so they did call one of the lawyers working on this case, and it was not convincing at all. He said, in effect, all we have is what the public has seen, and we won't know more because we're investigating and looking for more. And so that just made me go, why is everybody being so over the top and ridiculous and using words like the evidence is overwhelming? It was Tyler Robinson, when they don't have anything that's overwhelming.
It literally is overwhelming. It literally, actually, by any standard, is overwhelming. All right, and you can say that you can look for the evidence. You have all the evidence in front of you nowadays. We have this thing called Google, Google, where you can, for example, ask do we have Tyler Robinson's DNA on the weapon, for example? Yes, Tyler Robinson's DNA was found on towel wrapping suspected murder weapon.
That ain't nothing.
So we have his DNA left at the scene from the weapon with which we know for certain Charlie Kirk was murdered. We have the bullet, which was found directly inside the wound through which Charlie Kirk was murdered. We have his admission. We have secondary evidence and what's it called? Testimonies. We know it all. We have multiple people involved, multiple people directly involved, not affiliated with anybody out there, not affiliated with any security forces or government forces or whatever, who all have attested, who all have come forth and confirmed that this is what happened, that he is the one who pulled the trigger, that he is the one who did it. Okay, we know we have the evidence in front of us. What else do you want? The evidence is overwhelming. By any standard, the evidence is overwhelming.
Explain the Egyptian planes then, duh.
And the trapdoor. What about the trapdoor, which we can't see, but which we know was there?
And tunnels.
And how about the fact that a gun from that range could never, ever kill a person like that, although the range is actually an ideal range for that weapon, but ignore that. And what about the fact that if he was hit from that distance with that weapon, it would in 150% of cases, it would have an exit wound, although there are multiple pieces of evidence where it actually doesn't have an exit wound in other cases, but we ignore those because in 150% of cases, it does have an exit wound. Stop it with these insane, stupid, nonsensical talking points, man.
All right, you heard it from AP, folks. Just believe whatever the government and the media tell you to believe. You heard it here. AP said it. Just believe whatever the government and the media tell you to believe. You heard it here.
Yes.
They don't have a video of him taking the shot, which I think was something that I assumed, like, okay, there's all these cameras. Maybe they actually have that
They don't have a video of him taking the shot. See?
video and they're waiting for a moment to release that to the public. They don't
have a video of him taking the shot, because everyone is filming, behind them. Not Charlie. They're all filming in the other direction. And so why?
Here's the thing: I don't have a video of Candace's wife of Candace's husband impregnating her. So how can I be sure?
You said he's a wife?
How can I be sure?
Is Mr. Farmer actually Mrs. Farmer, who was born Mrs. Farmer, but transitioned at some point, and then to throw everyone off the trail, married Candace Owens, and then when more people were getting on the trail, he actually conspires to have Charlie Kirk killed to distract everybody.
I have never seen a single piece of evidence, no, not a second of footage of Candace's husband impregnating her.
And
so how am I supposed to believe that she actually fell pregnant through those means and that it was actually him doing it? It is clearly shows that there is a greater conspiracy here at play, and it shows also that her husband is actually a woman.
And just to be clear, everyone, no one here has ever seen Mr. Farmer's alleged penis. And so until
I didn't want to say it, but there it is.
Until we have the proof, we can only assume that Candace married a woman.
And let me just say this. I don't know, but I know.
This is all true.
Because I had a dream about the absent penis.
Mm-hmm. I had the same dream. Coincidence?
You had the same dream. That's interesting.
Well, yeah, because I thought it was a Zoot dream, but one of them was Candace's husband, and I was behind the Diddy line with Abdullah ibn Masud, and we're both watching. But remember, Ibn Masud said he couldn't see their penises. What's that tell you? Well, if Mr. Farmer's one of these guys, hello, do the math, guys. This is all. Or you can just believe the media.
And I just want to clarify, we're just asking questions.
Just asking questions here.
Or at least I can say Erica's side has not seen that. And the lawyer communicated to me that they would not have access to that until earliest would be May. That right now they're just investigating, just like we're doing back at home.
Just like we're investigating whether your husband is actually a woman.
Yes.
Okay, you said that your motive for going to the meeting was that you would be able to come out and tell the world Tyler Robinson killed.
Are you freaking kidding me? Candace said that her motive for the meeting was to come out and say, yes, Tyler Robinson, definitely. Are you kidding me? Anyone believe that? Anyone believe Candace's goal was really to firmly establish that Tyler Robinson was, in fact, the killer here, which would destroy like 50 of her live streams? Let me back that up. Not in a Zoot sense or a Illuminati sense or Warner sense.
Doing back at home.
Okay, you said that your motive for going to the meeting was that you would be able to come out and tell the world Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk.
That was her goal,
so
trust her.
Are you in a position to say that? Do you believe as a consequence of your 4.5 hours with Erica?
No, shocker. I found out I was right all along and that all my insane conspiracy theories are right on the money and that they have no evidence.
Do you believe that it is now...
To my great surprise, it turned out I was actually right.
Most likely that Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk?
Absolutely not. I haven't seen one piece of compelling evidence that Tyler Robinson scaled the rooftops like Spider-Man on a...
Right there. Did you catch that, Spider-Man?
Yeah.
She's still saying that you would have to scale this building like Spider-Man. A dude already responded to that. There's a stairway that goes right up, and you just have to, the stair goes right up to it, and you just hop over this little, like, 3 or 4 foot ledge. There's a stairway that goes right up there. Now, when he's leaving, he goes down the side of the building, because he goes down the side of the building where there are no people. But to get up there, there's a stairway that goes up there. She's saying, how could this young man have scaled the building like Spider-Man?
You literally have photos of it. We literally have photos of it, man. This is the kind of person that Candace Owens is when she claims, "Oh, I haven't seen a single piece of evidence of that." I mean, I don't know how he even got up there. I really do not know how he could even get up there. I mean, is he Spider-Man? I'm not saying he is Spider-Man, but is he Spider-Man?
He would at the very least need an Egyptian plane to drop him on that building.
Imagine you have a building, and by the way, most buildings with flat rooftops probably have some means to go up on that rooftop, especially bigger buildings, especially
there's either a stairway or a ladder on the side.
And I mean, I have never seen a building that actually has any access to the rooftop. I mean, why would it have access to the rooftop? Why would it do that? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry, but she is 100% retarded. Okay, any building, go out there, look for any proper modern building of that size, especially a building built for whatever it is, for education, for whatever purposes it is. Go find the building. You will see either inside, through the inside or the outside, there is some way to access the rooftop.
You don't need to talk about random rules for buildings. That particular building has a stairway that goes right up to the roof, and she's acting like
even if you don't know about the particulars of that building, any such building has means to access the rooftop. In fact, if there weren't any means to access the rooftop, that would be incredibly strange. So for a mildly intelligent person in this day and age, you would have to sit down. If you actually have an ounce of brain matter or honesty,
that's a big if,
and think about that for a second. Okay, there are lots of modern buildings in our time. Lots of modern buildings have these flat rooftops. Those flat rooftops also have certain things on them. I wonder if there are means to access those rooftops. Okay, most likely my logical conclusion, just thinking about it, is that they probably do have certain means to access those rooftops. Even if you didn't know, you probably would come to that conclusion, and then you could confirm it by simply looking it up, right? If you were mildly intelligent and curious. She is neither curious, nor is she in any way intelligent. She is an absolute retard. She is a full-blown retarded idiot. Which is why she either doesn't actually sit down and ask these questions or think about it for a second, or she simply wants to go with a narrative and doesn't ever want to second guess that narrative because she is functionally retarded.
Yeah, I happen to know about roof access because I used to climb on top of buildings every chance that I could to look for ways into the building from the roof. You know what you find on those rooftops, AP? Anyone know what you find on those rooftops?
What?
Over and over again, I would find the same thing that I saw that was very interesting on every one of those flat rooftops. Bird bones. Lots of bird bones scattered around. Now, is that a coincidence? Or are birds in on this conspiracy?
The Jews did it.
Jewish
Jews
birds.
put the birds up there.
Jew birds.
How can you not really see that Israel has something to do with those birds?
College campus that he didn't go to, and fired one shot, a magic bullet shot.
What? You can't get through 3 seconds, man.
Did you just hear that retarded other thought that she actually has in her mind?
You call that a thought?
That Tyler Robinson didn't go to that college. Why would he go up there to shoot Charlie Kirk when he didn't even go to that college? This is literally a legitimate thought in her head.
Yeah, so these are these things that are not making sense to her. Why would a man who wants to assassinate Charlie Kirk go to a building at a college he doesn't go to where Charlie is speaking and go to a building where he could get a shot off at Charlie? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Look, I have taken it upon myself not to. I have kind of made the decision not to be insulting toward people and all that, but I just have to break that rule here. I have to genuinely say and genuinely argue, it's not only about her. If anybody out there actually sits down and listens to Candace Owens as a legitimate person who asks real questions and who is actually smart and who's actually investigating these things, you really need to question yourself, because you have serious intelligence and thinking problems. You should probably stay away from these things altogether. If you are listening to her, I'm not sure if you are dumber than her or not. The assumption is probably that you are less intelligent than her, so dumber than her because you are following her, which would make the whole situation very, very difficult for you, or even worse for those who are near to you and those who interact with you in life outside.
You might want to turn that into like a Jeff Foxworthy joke, AP.
Well,
Like
it wasn't a joke.
It would go like this. It would go like, if you think Candace Owens' theory about this guy needing to climb like Spider-Man instead of just using the stairway that leads up there is good proof that there's Egyptian planes involved, you might be a retard.
And killed Charlie Kirk. I have not seen one piece of compelling evidence. In fact, I've seen more compelling evidence to the contrary.
Who does Erica think
What
killed her husband?
Well, I think that in her recent PR blitz, she sort of communicated that she trusted her team, and her lawyer was using kind of the same rhetoric that the media has been using, where there's really, this is like, it's overwhelming. Maybe he didn't say the word overwhelming, but he was
This
like,
is
it's
what
very
AP
clear,
was just
I
saying.
think is what he
He's
said.
just
In
like the media.
particular, and then I pushed back and I said, what's clear? The affidavit? That's all you guys have? And I did tell him, if you would never be my lawyer, because it's just, a lawyer that's just kind of giving you adjectives, and I don't need a cheerleader. I need someone to be practical and to say, we don't have anything yet. I think the communication should be.
She wants a lawyer to say, we don't have anything yet. That's what she wants. She would want a lawyer to say, okay, you got the guy, you got his DNA, he's up in the building, jumps off the side, we got video of him all over the place, and we got the weapon, we got a confession by him. His own parents turn him in after realizing it was their son. When the feds go in there, then they got the confession because he's been texting. What you're supposed to say in response to that. Keep in mind, it's not just, hey, it's not enough. It's, we have nothing. None of that is anything. But if there's some Egyptian planes and they were landing by, oh, now we got the case cracker, guys. We got the case cracker.
We are hopeful that throughout this investigation, we are going to uncover more evidence that links Tyler Robinson to this crime. I do feel confident that he was involved in some capacity on that day. As I have said many times on my show, I was the one who broke the story that he was at the Dairy Queen throwing out clothes, a local Dairy Queen, throwing out clothes in a nearby cemetery. And so I do think he was involved, and multiple people were involved that day. And I think he.
Now, why would a guy who just assassinated someone want to change clothes and throw out clothes? Oh, I guess he has some role, just, Jews
Probably
obviously have a way bigger role.
Because Israel was telling him to throw clothes away in the
Israel
floor.
said, go throw those clothes away, or you will not get your shekels, boy. And then
Netanyahu came up to him and said, hey, your role today during this assassination process is to simply go there and then later on appear somewhere else and throw a bunch of random clothes away.
And I mean, think about this, guys. Think about this. Like, seriously. So Candace believes that he is involved in a big conspiracy, right? But who's being charged? Just him. So he's the one who could get the death penalty, or I really believe that Erica will ask not to have the death penalty imposed on him and just, to get life in prison. So this guy is going to spend the rest of his life in prison unless Candace can create enough doubt. She only has to convince one juror. That there is some weird conspiracy going on here and that Tyler is not likely to be the one that actually pulled the trigger. That's what she needs to convince one freaking juror. And this dude does not go to prison for this.
Hey, David. Sorry, go ahead. Continue. I'll ask you something after that.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to point out. So she only has to convince one juror. But think about this. So the theory is Tyler has some limited role, namely he's the clothing disposer. So whoever really is involved here, the plan was give Tyler Robinson your clothes and he'll go dispose of the clothes in a graveyard. Okay. Then Tyler's parents turn him in. They find the confession and so on. But keep in mind, Tyler knows, according to Candace, if she's right, he plays some role. So he plays some minor role as clothing disposer. But he's the one who gets charged with murder. You don't think this would be a really good time to start spilling who actually is behind this? And therefore, and guess what?
Nobody knows.
Guess what? You'll walk. You'll walk. If you're the clothing disposer, they will gladly give you a deal for exposing other people in the plot. Like in a heartbeat. Oh, wait, I forgot. If you got the entire government involved, then maybe that's not an option.
But they said if I expose them, they will not give me my $7,000.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, David.
What?
Google the question: are modern buildings required to have rooftop access?
I could also ask the question: are Dawa guys required to have bottom access to join the Illuminati? Are modern buildings with flat roofs required to have roof access? AI is clearly controlled by the Jews because it says, yes, modern buildings with flat roofs. No, it says often have mandated roof access. It says often mandated roof access. I'm guessing.
Well, I don't know what you're looking at.
I'm guessing it depends on the state. What state was that?
So-
Utah or something?
Modern buildings required to have rooftop. Yes, modern buildings require rooftop access. It is part of the of building codes. This was Utah. Are Utah buildings required to have rooftop access? Yes, Utah buildings generally must have rooftop access if they are 4 stories or taller.
You're literally quoting the Jews, man. What kind of proof is that to someone of Candace's intellectual prowess? Anyway, watch her.
So this is the quality of journalism that Candace Owens engages in,
top notch.
Where she is like, am I supposed to believe that this guy Tyler Robinson just climbed like Spider-Man on a rooftop and then took a weapon, despite not even going to that college, and then killed Charlie Kirk? She thinks you have to be Spider-Man to get on top of a building in Utah.
Oh, hang on. We're getting some of the conspiracies. We're gonna go in the super chats. So we gotta go through the super chats to get to the conspiracies here. Hang on. Yes, we Australians do have weird animals. Most of them reside in Lakemba, Bankstown, and Auburn masjids. Oh. I thought you were going to say, something cool about some of your weird animals, but you turned it into something about Muslims. Shame on you. Oh, Candace, if she really had the receipt, she'd be able to take it back. Surely her bill is still under warranty. We're actually going to come back to that because Piers eventually calls it just BS. And that's interesting because that's called Brandolini's Law. And we're going to talk, it's her main tactic. Candace Owens, if you're wondering what Candace Owens' main tactic, she uses various manipulation tactics and so on. It's actually cult level tactics, like cult formation tactics. But the main thing she uses is called Brandolini's Law. And it's related to what you just said there and what Piers is going to say. Zoot story, where can I find it? Watch my 2 videos that I did on the Al Zoot. Powerful stuff. Thank you for not letting me hear her voice for longer than 20 seconds at a time. Yeah, you can thank AP for that. I'm trying to just let Candace talk forever and ever and ever. Hey, guys, you know what I'm going to do at the beginning of the year? I've only watched one of her. It was either the first or the second one that she did after Charlie was assassinated. I only watched one. But I think at the beginning of the year, I'm just going to binge watch. I think I counted up, it was like 50 hours. It was like 50 hours of her deranged conspiracy theories and stuff, but I think I'm going to binge watch them over a period of like 3 days, go through all of them, and then post my reaction to all of them. Should be fun stuff. Candace,
No matter how hard the GOP tries to make radical Islam happen, the base doesn't care about it.
me, Merry Christmas to you too. Yeah, this is the woman that couldn't find any evidence of Andrew Tate. She couldn't find any evidence of Andrew Tate being involved in sex trafficking and so on, despite, you're hearing this, AP? There's a woman who couldn't find any evidence against Andrew Tate, but she finds evidence of the Egyptian planes. It's interesting.
Oh, nice.
Candace would be perfect for dawah work. She hates Jews, check. Makes claims without evidence, check. Does not know how to do proper research, check. Oh, yeah, and that's why it's interesting that Candace and Piers would agree on Muslims, right? But for completely different reasons. Piers because he's trained to be a journalist in the UK, and that's just a requirement there. And Candace because the more you... Hey, dude, we should come up with some law. We should come up with some law about conversion on something like the more you hate Jews, the more friendly over time you're going to be towards Islam, and the better you'll think it is, because we see that over and over again.
That's true.
We can all agree that Europe is historically Christian. You can blaspheme Christ and face no repercussions, but if you question the Holocaust, you face prison time. Holocaustology is the new religion. Hey, we got a Candace fan here. We got a Candace fan. Let's see. Nigerian here. Candace is a grifter. Many thanks to Donald Trump for alzuring the Islamic terrorists. God bless all apostates and Merry Christmas, guys. I would accuse this person of being a racist for cheering on the annihilation of Islamic terrorists, but he's Nigerian, so can't call him a racist, guys. So just so anyone knows, anyone in the United States or Great Britain, if you said, yes, Islamic terrorists who are slaughtering people in the name of Allah should be wiped out, you get called a racist. And it's just...
I think that Candace Owens also likes Muslims because Muslims hate Jews, and she thinks that's cool. So she probably likes Jews, likes Muslims because of that.
Notice David and AP are leaning into politics. Where have you... These kind of comments actually, why are you starting to talk about politics? Me and Nabil's channel originally started taking, because we were talking about Dearborn, stuff that was going on in Dearborn. That was all political, guys. Why? Because Islam is a political ideology. We didn't just start this, guys. We always talk about politics, and we'll talk about whatever we want, so quit whining. How much are they paying you to slander Candace? We keep showing you the shekels. We're not even hiding it, guys. We're not even hiding it. And
to be fair,
Polish rubles or whatever they use.
Attacking Candace only makes you $3,500 by Israel. They don't care about it that much.
Yeah, that's why I'm questioning this $1 billion campaign.
Yeah.
You know how I know that the Jays do not control the world? Because Warner would have gave up his rear end to get platinum membership. That's true. He would have done it. He'd have been like, "What? The Jews control the world, and now we'll give you my butt. I'll give you access to my butt." I keep forgetting that there are people here who are watching this who may not have seen the other live streams. Yeah, I'll say this one time, guys, for background, not in the Warner sense, but the Warner recently got exposed by one of his buddies, one of his fellow Muslims, for saying that he would take it up the butt if it would get him membership in the Illuminati, and so that was pretty wild. I authored a book of Nazarene archaeology and want to share it free with all. I found inscriptions dated to 42 AD declaring Jesus is risen and Son of God. We gotta see some confirmation of that stuff. What mental condition does Dr. Wood think Candace has from what he's seen so far? I personally say she's a crazy chick, but what's the technical term? I think she's high functioning, kind of low level schizophrenic. And I'm saying that because we actually went through it where she would say, and I know this. And we looked at what it was based on, and it wasn't there at all. She actually explained it. Here's how I know this guy is lying, because of this tweet from Charlie that said this, and there's like zero connection, but she sees it. And so that sort of thing that you think you're seeing things that no one else around you sees and so on, that sounds schizophrenic to me. But, she's got a huge platform and so on. So you think that she's able to keep it under control if she has to, but once she goes out on her own, she no longer, the more famous she gets, the less she needs to keep the crazy under control. She can let it out more and more. So I think she's some sort of like mild schizophrenic. Have you seen JP Sears' video proving Candace is a man? No, but I would love to check that out. JP does some funny stuff. I will check that out. Candace,
Evidence is fake and gay. Therefore, there is no evidence.
that is her overall reasoning there. So is Candace a man or a lesbian? I'm just asking questions. Lesbian. I mean, she married a woman.
She's a lesbian.
But she was also in love with Charlie, clearly. That actually comes up here. So Candace walked into that meeting with an open mind to anything that would implicate the Jews. Yes, that is correct. That was her open mind. You guys are Mossad agents paid by Spider-Man, but I don't have any evidence, okay? Just asking questions. Leave her alone. She's a young mother.
I mean, you could just ask me that now. I will just tell you it's true. So.
That is true. Everyone knows only J-O-O with fiddles climb roof. Oh, yeah. That's true.
That is true.
Yeah. Fiddler on the roof.
How
Good
did
point.
Fiddler on the Roof get there? How did he get there?
All right, so here we have the Candace fan showing up. One of two. So he walked through a college with a gun without raising any alarm. We literally have footage of him walking with like this weird limp with one leg is straight the entire time. So normal step, then straight leg step. Why? Because he clearly had the rifle down his pants leg. He's just walking around with a rifle. Didn't use the stairs he came from to get down. Right, because, he went over the side of the building where no one was so that he could take off. While everyone's over there freaking out over the shooting, he's on the, oh my goodness, he went down on the opposite side of the building where there were no people. Oh my goodness, you see, why would he do that? Disassembled the gun. He didn't need to disassemble the gun right there.
He didn't.
And reassembled it faster than any trained Marine, all while not wanting to get caught, but left his grandpa rifle they could probably trace back to him. No, all this stuff about needing to disassemble and reassemble, that's not required for any of this. It's just not.
I had one of these dummies recently leave one of these comments on Twitter. So they're like, look, Grok will tell you easily. So I was like, okay, let's ask Grok to fact check all these things. And Grok then fact checks it and is like, you don't need to. It doesn't take very long to assemble this gun. It also wasn't disassembled and so on. So it's quite funny.
Yeah, this right here, it either means Rhode Island's new book is super dope or Raymond Ibrahim's new book is super dope. Reading it to my boys. We're going to assume it's Raymond Ibrahim and not Rhode Island. Behold the descent of the Zut and their mighty thrust. If Candace and Tuck deceive, the Zut shall come upon them from behind. Then they shall enter the ranks of the exalted. Surah al-Zut. This is all. Why are you bringing Candace and Tucker together with... Oh, because they love Islam now. Okay, all right. Hold on. No. Hey, what is this? Hold on. It's not hold on. It's hang on. It's not even hang on. It's hang on. Hang on. David, I'll say this one time, guys. Press F for doubt. You know what that means?
Nice. That's from a meme.
Oh. Hearing the Warner wanting to take one for the team only strengthens my iman. Yeah, that's the reaction of his 7 fans. Wood's Law. Islamophobia is inversely proportional to anti-Semitism. I'm screenshotting that. That seems like a good formulation. I might want to tweak it a little bit. And here we have, there are many more things that don't make sense about Charlie Kirk but I'm not going to spend any more money on Super Chat so you'll actually read. Well, how are you going to convince us if you don't keep sending these Super Chats? Candace fan? Can you educate your audience on the gates of Toledo? Supposedly Muslims tolerated Jews because they were strictly monotheistic. Google for your audience. Can you educate your audience on the gates of Toledo? Supposedly Muslims tolerated Jews because they were strictly monotheistic. Google for your audience. Muslims are supposed to tolerate Jews if they are second-class citizens. That's actually part of Islam.
The thing is, Muslims did initially treat the Jews as the better ones, because so they come into they come in over the sea, over the channel, and take over the subcontinent, or whatever you want to call it. What they do is they find that the Jews are being very badly mistreated in this place, and that is true. That is an unfortunate thing. Prior to the coming of Muslims, the Jews were undergoing some really harsh treatment in Iberia, and the Muslims used the Jews actually to appeal to them and to somehow help them take over the whole place. Later on, as time passed, they started mistreating the Jews the same way. You had entire pogroms against Jews. You had the mistreatment of Jews. You had repeated punishments of Jews, and so on and so forth. In fact, during the Reconquista, when the Spanish Christians were taking back the place, many Jews financed and helped them take back the place because they were sick of how Muslims treated them.
See, the Jews just change which side they're on.
Did pick up clothes. I had communication with Lance's family. I had communication with Tyler Robinson's family. And for some reason, Lance is being protected, which I find to be very strange. His own family thinks he's guilty of more, and they find it weird that the feds kind of glossed over him, almost as though he was a Fed operative, like he was working on behalf of them. And, we've caught the feds have lied a lot. It's just.
Wait, so he's a paid operative, but so is Tyler Robinson, right? He's paid to be part of this conspiracy, and somehow they just got him, and he could get out of this instantly just by naming names. But here's the thing about the conspiracy, right? It's whatever you're claiming, it turns out to involve a lot more people, right? So if you're saying Tyler Robinson is part of this, and it's okay, then any defense lawyer for him would be saying, okay, if you're actually like tiny part of this and there's all this other stuff going, so the lawyer must be in on it, or the lawyer's being threatened, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and until basically the entire world's in on it. Everyone except Candace Owens, who, let's face it, is the one who profited most from this entire thing. Interesting.
A fact. Turning Point USA people have lied a lot. That is a fact, which they have agreed to. They said that these were mistakes, but they, whether a mistake or not, the public was lied to.
Do you hear this? They lied. Turning Point lied. They said, well, yeah, we did make some mistakes, but regardless of whether it was just mistakes, the public was lied to. Meaning, even if it's just mistakes, if you were told something that wasn't true, it was a lie. But keep in mind, right? If you're saying Turning Point lied, everyone's interpreting that as they deliberately deceive people, and therefore maybe they're trying to cover something up. If it's just mistakes, then even if they're that distinction matters. If they're mistaken about things, if they got things wrong, okay, that happens a lot. Obviously with Candace, she gets a lot of things wrong. Doesn't mean you're deliberately deceiving people if you get something wrong. But she just, it's basically the same thing. If they're just mistakes, then okay, but the public still was lied to, and therefore what? Therefore it's okay to say Turning Point's lying about this stuff. Interesting stuff.
So this obviously, matters deeply to me, and it's just absurd that people would think that I'm doing this for clicks. I know Charlie. I knew Charlie. Charlie and I are very close, and it has been one of the most disgusting things ever that people.
You know who was closer to Charlie?
First and foremost, tried to start this psychological operation that Charlie and I hadn't spoken since 2019. They've lied about virtually everything that I've said on my podcast. I'm not going to let this go. Okay,
Here's why I want to let her finish that thought there. You're going to see that she claims whenever there's some sort of like financial motive or some other kind of motive that you need to really look into this, because there's reason for suspicion there. If someone has some sort of money to gain for something, you really need to pay close attention to that, and so on. When someone does it to her, hey, wait a minute, you're getting piles of money and tons of clicks over this stuff. It's just disgusting. I can't believe this is disgusting. It's $1 billion operation to discredit me, and it's disgusting. It's like, wait, when anyone does what you do to everyone else all day long, when anyone does the exact same thing to you and applies the exact same principle you're using, this doesn't make sense. Maybe this person's motivated by this, by money or something like this, and they did it, and that's why they took out Charlie. But when anyone does that to you, then it's like disgusting behavior. That's what I find just baffling, man. Big hypocrite. Giant hypocrite.
She says that she was close to Charlie Kirk. You know who was closer to Charlie Kirk? Erica Kirk.
I would think so.
You know who was also, by the way, closer to Charlie Kirk? Andrew Colvett, who is the producer and to this day co-host of the Charlie Kirk show, with whom Charlie Kirk made shows together forever. He was closer and was always in a group and was always interacting with Charlie Kirk on public things and also private things. And Candace accuses him, for example, of being evil and of being in on things and all that. So if being close to Charlie Kirk disqualifies you from wanting the best for him, or disqualifies you from seeking injustice or harming Charlie Kirk, then she's contradicting herself, because she accuses those who were much closer to Charlie than she ever was of being in on a conspiracy against Charlie Kirk. That doesn't make any sense.
Guys, you getting this? Candace can't be using this for clicks and money and for attention. She can't. Why? Because she was friends with Charlie Kirk. Okay, everyone Candace is accusing of being either involved in the assassination or covering it up, as far as Turning Point is concerned, are also friends with Charlie. So
Yes.
how
some
is
of them
that?
much closer
That's
than
no
Tequila.
according to her, that's no defense. According to her, chatting back and forth through Charlie Kirk is no defense against accusations. Whenever she's the one doing the accusing. If someone accuses her of doing this for a click, then suddenly, well, she was friends, so it's obviously absurd, right? Biggest hypocrite ever, man.
She was also, by the way, insulting and accusing that one pastor who was very close with Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, that
And
comes up.
she was fighting him. She also, as far as I remember, early on joined in on some conspiracy theories about Frank Turek.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't remember. And Frank Turek was significantly closer to Charlie than she was.
Yeah, he considered Frank his mentor for doing that, because that's what Frank does. I mean, Charlie does the Christian stuff and the political stuff. He does them both. Frank just does Christian stuff, but he does what Charlie does. He shows up to a campus and it's hey, step up to the mic and challenge me. And Frank was right there. And so, yeah, and by the way, I've known Frank Turek for probably at least 15 years.
We don't live in a country that is the embodiment of democratic principles if Charlie Kirk gets publicly executed and the media apparatus is doing everything they can to cover the tracks. I would
Keep in mind, everyone, the media is part of this. So don't leave that out. In other words, when we're thinking of the conspiracy, it's the federal government, it's Israel, it's France, it's Turning Point, it's the media, Egyptian planes, it's everyone except the guy that they arrested who had a text confession and so on. Anyway.
to cover the tracks by demanding that there is no further inquiry into what happened on that day.
All right,
that is not a country that I can get behind.
Let's get to some of the details, because it seems to me you've put up a lot of theories.
There we go.
But a lot of them don't seem to have a clear conclusion from you about what you actually think happened.
She's just asking questions.
I mean, you've been all over this now ever since Charlie was killed.
In a zoot sense.
What do you believe happened to him? Who do you think killed him?
So I can't tell you definitively who pulled the trigger. I'm not going to lie to audiences and just put something out there that's not real.
I'm not just going to put something out there that's not real. Not me, not Candace Owens.
You lunatic.
That's what
she's been doing this entire time.
Yeah, this is gaslight. It's not her main tactic, guys, but gaslighting is one of the things she does over and over and over again. I never said that. It's like all over the place.
But what I can say is I feel convinced that the feds were involved.
She feels convinced.
I can tell you that. I think the feds were
Feds involved. Media involved, feds involved.
In staging a cover-up. I think Kash Patel knows what happened and did not happen on that day. I am convinced by me being told by people that are feds that he is not acting right
Well,
This is a clearly deceptive form of rhetoric where you. I actually watched a very, very nice things about that recently, where you basically say, "I'm not saying this is what happened, but it's quite clear that this is what happened." This is basically what she's doing. It's a very effective form of manipulation, especially for those who don't understand what she's doing.
yeah, and do you hear this? It's and Kash Patel, yeah, he's definitely in on this, and he knows what happened. So keep in mind, there are people who know what happened. They know exactly what happened, but they're not sharing that. Why? Because there's a big conspiracy. But then she's saying she knows feds. She's got feds who are feeding her information. They're like, yep, we're not allowed to look into this. Candace, you have what, thousands of people involved in this? Like, why don't you get one of those people to tell you? Because there are thousands of people who are involved in this, right? I mean, if you're saying the media is being controlled by the federal government and being told what to say, why wouldn't like one honest journalist come forward and say, you know what, we got this memo from the U.S. government and they said, by golly, you better cover this up or you're dead. I mean, you could anonymously release the letter. You could anonymously release that. Hey, we've got here's the smoking gun. The feds are commanding us to cover this up. You've got the media is involved. It's $1 billion plot, all to silence Candace. Lots of anyway, guys, we've talked about this before. Here's the fundamental problem. The more people involved in your conspiracy, the more rapidly it will break down. The more people you involve, if you have like two people in a conspiracy and they're like identical twin brothers who've been completely loyal to each other their entire lives and so on, and they have this conspiracy. Well, that might actually be successful and so on. If you have it, the smaller and more devoutly loyal to each other, the people involved in a conspiracy are, the less likely it is to break down. When you have a conspiracy that involves thousands and thousands of people, and any one of them can come out and expose it at any time, and the more rapidly it will break down. So any other stuff, right? Like she didn't believe the moon landing's happening. Okay, they're talking thousands of people who were involved in NASA and the moon landing and stuff like that. And if you're sitting there, no, and all this was filmed by Hollywood, blah 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 blah, to make it look. And okay, you're talking thousands of people involved in this. 9/11, because she believes it's the Jews are behind it. The Jews are behind 9/11. Okay, but it's the Jews and the U.S. government and the media and everyone all working together. Okay, you're talking thousands of people, and anyone could come forward and say, actually, you know what? I'm ready to tell what would happen. And anytime you're having one of these grand conspiracies that involves whatever the political party that's in charge is doing, right? There's a reigning political party in charge that's part of this grand conspiracy theory. Then what happens when the opposing political party wins the next election? You don't think they're going to go ahead and, hey, you know what these guys did? You know what these guys did? They're behind the 9/11 attacks. They worked with Israel to bring down the two. Guess what? You've just destroyed that political party. Your rivals. You've just annihilated them, and you're the only political party standing. You wouldn't do that? Anyway, that's kind of the problem. I mean, guys, so the moon landings hoax, right, which she believes is all hoax. Anyone who's involved in that hoax could come forward at any time and say, here's my book about why this was all a conspiracy. We made it all up. And it was for this reason. And here's how it all worked. You're an instant overnight millionaire. So guess what? You have to expand the conspiracy. Now there's like, if you were to come out with a book, then there's all these assassins who are going to come in there, and just everyone in the plot knows that there's all these assassins waiting to kill them and so on. And it's still going on. And oh gosh, guys. And then it's one conspiracy after the next, and every couple of years, there's this huge government conspiracy involving thousands of people, and anyone could just destroy their political rivals by sharing this information, but no one ever does, and so on. It involves Israel and everyone and all these nations and France and Egypt and everything. And anyone could come forward and say, hey, here's what the conspiracy is. But no one ever does it.
Newt
They
is
somehow
also-
get thousands of extremely diehard, loyal conspirators who never change their mind, even when they could become overnight multimillionaires just by exposing it. Nope. They just keep the
Newt
conspiracy
is
going.
also how she just said that she's not going to just put something out there, and then she immediately said that that Kash Patel knows exactly what's going on.
I'm not just going to put something out there that I can't prove, but yeah, Kash Patel, yeah, he knows what's going on, and the feds are
Can you,
involved.
can you prove it? Can you prove it? No, I can't. But
is not wanting to share any information. Just a couple of people are allowed to even see anything. A Fed told me that they can't even touch the Charlie Kirk file without risk of being fired, and that he's grown increasingly mad. The U.S. Marshals that were there when they were doing the quote unquote manhunt for 33 hours said that Kash Patel effectively sent them on a wild goose chase, which is what was signaled to the public when he said, "We got him," and it was actually the wrong person. And so it caused people to stop looking because they were convinced that they had the shooter. They felt that was.
Well,
pause. It would be very, very. This is outrageous, right? If she actually protects those people who say these things, then she is basically she's not helping with the justice as much as she claims she is. She's covering up for people who know that something is really, really wrong.
wait, you mean no or no?
No.
Okay.
It should be very easy for her to prove that these people actually said these things to her. It should be very easy for her to prove that there are lots of people who are talking to her like, hey, Candace, man. Hey, Mandis, look, I'm on this mission right now. I'm on this mission, and Kash Patel, who's not one of us anyway, because you know what he is. He's some Hindu or something like that, He's in charge of us, and he sends us out on his mission. I know for a fact that he knows exactly what's going on.
Wait a minute,
He
but who
won't let us know.
who put Kash Patel in charge?
The Jews. I mean, she could easily prove that these things are actually being said to her. Will she do it? No.
In order to allow the real perpetrators of the crimes to get away.
But that could just be the fog of the immediacy of these things. We've seen it at Brown University, exactly the same thing. They thought they had the killer. It turned out to be the wrong person. Right? It doesn't mean there's any great conspiracy by the feds to cover anything up. And again, even
That's a good little point by just looking at things, right? So after some attack or something, terrorist attack or anything, they'll grab someone who kind of fits a description or who's in a certain area, and then they'll grab that person and take him in and so on. If it turns out to be the wrong person, Pierce would say, okay, yeah, you're trying to figure out who's involved. You grab someone because he fits a description or something like that. Turns out he's not part of it. That's just what happens. Candace, no, that's proof of like a conspiracy that they're trying. When they say, "Oh, we just got someone," they're actually trying to give time to whoever really did it, and it's all part of a conspiracy. That's the reasoning here.
if what you're saying is true, I don't know, maybe you're right. If what you're saying is true, what is it they're covering up? You've so far intimated or inferred something weird involving Egyptian planes. So, what's that about? You've inferred perhaps Israeli involvement in some way. You've certainly inferred a lot of Turning Point USA involvement. That's a lot of people getting involved here
it's way more
in the
than that.
murder of Charlie Kirk,
It's way more than
potentially.
that. You got the
But what I'm really curious about is, given you've been all over all this and you've been airing all these theories, well, which one is it? It can't be all of these things. Is it somebody? Is it someone at Turning Point USA? I mean, who do you actually?
Did you just hear it? She said it can. He said it can't be all of it. It can't be all of these. Of course it can. She said. That's interesting.
Well, it can.
Of course it
was
can.
Russia, China, and America, and Germany, and France, and Canada, and Israel. Israel is leading all of them together, of course, because they're all slaves of Israel. And aside from them, of course, it's just all those other places. And then also Turning Point USA. And Turning Point USA is basically in charge of America anyway. So all of those together killed Charlie. And I know this for a fact because I have some feds who are my friends and who always call me and say, "Hey, Mandis, let me tell you something new about what just happened." But I can't prove it. And I'm not just going to put some, claims without evidence out there.
Yeah,
So.
she wouldn't do that. She wouldn't do that. That's what I mean. It's constant. It's you see her do something 1,000 times in a row, and then you ask her about something, and I would never do the thing that you've just seen me do 1,000 times in a row.
I know for a fact that it
Gaslight.
was Israel that killed Charlie, but I would never, ever just put something out there without evidence. So I'm not going to do it.
Believe was
Of course,
behind
of
this.
course, it can be all of those things. And what's really ironic here is that there's a clip of Charlie in the last months leading up to his death where he speaks about the JFK assassination. And he says that multiple countries were involved, multiple people were involved, the LBJ was involved, the feds were involved. And he's correct. That is what it means. When there is a conspiracy, there are multiple people that are involved.
She just said, when there's a conspiracy, there's multiple people involved. Right. That would be the definition of a conspiracy, Candace. That doesn't mean that when something happens, it's the Egyptians and the Israelis and the feds and the media and his closest friends and his wife and a beekeeper cult and some Mormons and everyone else she accused of.
Of course, there's not one person on a grassy knoll who shot JFK.
Well, it might have been that.
There are people who had to agree to it. There had people who would have had to. The Dallas police were involved.
Candace,
I'm answering your question. I'm answering your question.
But my
You're
point
asking,
is,
why aren't you just going to point to one person? That to me, even that seems like a part of telling people not to believe their own gut. Obviously, for this to have been pulled off, there had to have been multiple people involved. There had to have been people at Turning Point that were complicit in having this happen. Now, who knows what their motivations are? Doesn't mean.
That's really important. She said there had to be, oh gosh, because later, talk about gaslighting. Later in this same interview, she says she never said that Turning Point was complicit in Charlie's assassination. She said, yeah, they're doing some sort of cover up, but she insists, I never said they were complicit. What did she say right here? Again, later in this same discussion, she says she never said what she says right here.
Which is now run by his widow. You are directly accusing people in that company.
JFK assassination. And he says that multiple countries were involved, multiple people were involved, the LBJ was involved, the feds were involved. And he's correct. That is what it means. When there is a conspiracy, there are multiple people that are involved. Of course, there's not one person on a grassy knoll who shot JFK.
Well, it might have been that.
There are people who had to agree to it. There had people who would have had to. The Dallas police were involved.
Candace.
I'm answering your question. You're asking, why aren't you just going to point to one person? That to me, even that seems like a part of telling people not to believe their own gut. Obviously, for this to have been pulled off, there had to have been multiple people involved. There had to have been people at Turning Point that were complicit in having.
There had to be people at Turning Point who were complicit. Later in this exact same interview, she's going to say, I never said people at Turning Point were complicit. And Piers goes, you just said it. You just said it. And she goes, no, I didn't.
Happen. Now, who knows what their motivations are? Doesn't mean maybe this person's like, hey, I'm going to help you.
Hang on. Okay, let me stop you. Hang on. When you say obviously somebody.
And did you hear what he cut her off, but she said, and we don't know what the motivation was. Maybe it's just someone who said, yeah, I'm going to help you do this because she says later, she never claimed anyone at Turning Point was complicit.
Let's see what she's saying. He's asking me right here.
Turning Point. You are accusing right now people that worked with Charlie Kirk at the company he built, which is now run by his widow. You are directly accusing people in that company of being complicit in his murder, right?
I want to just be very clear connecting that dot. So I said that when there is a conspiracy, of course, there are going to be multiple people involved. So applying that same logic to JFK, right? Knowing, as I do and as Charlie did believe, that LBJ was involved, which then implicates the feds as having been involved, which then implicates the Dallas police station as being involved. I believe Israel was obviously involved.
Isn't it crazy? So Israel, the Dallas police, the feds, the president, everyone's involved in the assassination. Again, anyone in a random police officer from that time who was involved could come forward and say, yes, I can tell you what happened with the JFK assassination because I was part of the plot. I was part of the conspiracy. No one ever does. Weird.
You know what the funny thing is? I have Charlie Kirk's response, the clip that she's talking about, in front of me, in which Charlie Kirk responds to a question from a listener who argues that Israel might have been behind the assassination of JFK. Charlie Kirk says that there is no evidence at all that Israel was behind the killing of JFK. That just because Israel's name appears in the documents, it doesn't mean that Israel is guilty, because Charlie himself knows that Israel is not mentioned as a guilty party in the documents, but rather as an ally in the investigations. So he says that he may very much, if there ever was a good point or an argument to be made that Israel was involved, he would like to hear that. But so far, there is no single piece of evidence that points toward it. He says that there may have been a greater conspiracy, which he also leans toward, but he says nothing. But he does not at all believe that it was Israel. I bet she will. I bet Candace will at some point make it also about Charlie Kirk also believed Israel was behind it.
She just said Charlie believed that there was this bigger conspiracy. Guess what? I'll grant that there could be. I'll grant that it's reasonable that there was some actual conspiracy. Meaning, it doesn't just have to be Lee Harvey Oswald. It could be a group of people, right? That seems very plausible. The idea that you have tons of people in the police force and the feds and so on, and just it never crosses anyone's mind to come forward with this stuff after years. It was an assassination of the president, and everyone's been confused about it ever since. And there's just hundreds, if not thousands, of people involved.
No, all those thousands of people involved all got paid $5 million to be quiet about it, and are still being paid $5 million on a daily basis to be quiet about it.
And guess what? That's not some legally binding that wouldn't be some legally binding thing where you couldn't come forward eventually, right? You can go to another country and then say, hey, I'm releasing my book now. I'm safe and sound. And so, no, they're going to send the assassins. Well, too late. I would already exposed your big plot, right?
Or you could just anonymously do it without leaving
That's right.
any trace.
Anonymous. Hey, I'm not naming a name, but I was part of the police force that was in on this. That was part of this. I was a Fed who was involved in this, and here's exactly what happened. Here's how I can prove to you exactly what happened. Here's the evidence we have.
Directly accusing people in that company of being complicit in his murder, right?
I want to just be very clear connecting that dot. So I said that when there is a conspiracy, of course, there are going to be multiple people involved. So applying that same logic to JFK, right? Knowing, as I do, and as Charlie did believe that LBJ was involved, which then implicates the feds as having been involved, which then implicates the Dallas police station as being involved. I believe Israel was obviously involved, and they were the ones that
obviously involved. And if you've seen her evidence for this, it's, well, here's the thing. This goes back to all you need is some hypothetical motive, and you can accuse someone of something. So her claim is JFK thought that Israel's nuclear program should be investigated. And her conclusion, well, therefore, obviously they killed her. It's like JFK almost went to nuclear war with the Soviet Union. Okay. He almost went to nuclear war with the Soviet Union. It wouldn't be them. But
no.
It's got to be Israel. There's not tons of people and political rivals and all kinds of people that could have a motive. Guess what? The world was filled with people who would have a motive to take out the president of the United States. Why do you zero in on Israel? For the same reason you zero in on them, because there were a couple of them who owned slave ships, and you see, they ran the slave trade, and Jews and black people are perpetual enemies, and all you black people need to, if you don't know what we're talking about, that was her most recent thing about the Jews. Keep in mind, this is the crack journalist who could not find any evidence that Andrew Tate was involved in sex trafficking.
So JFK was, as people may know, heavily anti-communist and heavily anti-USSR, and almost went to nuclear war with the Soviet Union. However, no, they couldn't have killed him. Why would they do that? On the other hand, it's quite obvious that Israel killed him, because he said that Israel should be held to the same standards as other countries when it comes to their nuclear program, despite the fact that JFK was also very much outspoken for the existence and the preservation of Israel, and even went to the Zionist organizations and gatherings, and so on and so
But
forth.
AP, you're making zero sense here. You're saying just because JFK was pro-Israel, therefore they wouldn't have killed him. Well, Charlie Kirk was pro-Israel, and they killed him. Touche.
Dude, somebody's going to listen to this and like, oh yeah, see?
Good point. Powerful point, David. Powerful point. Let's listen to a little more Candace, and I'll tell you what her main tactic is, guys.
Wanted him dead for saying that what is now AIPAC should have to register under FARA. So there's motive. There are people that have to be involved on the ground that day. There are people that have to be willing to allow the perpetrators to get away. There has to be media that's complicit. And that's what literally Operation Mockingbird was. It was established to persuade the public.
Candace, here's the problem.
Well, hang on. It was established. So
but here's the problem with everything you're saying.
In this massive
you keep saying, and this is where people think you're prone to endless conspiracy theories for whatever reason.
Okay.
Is you keep using the phrase, they have to have been involved. So by that yardstick, what you're saying is, with JFK's assassination, and we recently had a lot of the files released, which did not conclusively prove any of these things, right? Now, again, I don't know what happened to JFK, but the one possibility you've not ruled in is it was just as simple as Lee Harvey Oswald. It might have been. We don't know, right? So when you say the media has to have been involved,
impossible. The guy there who had a military background and was the one thing in life he was ever good at was shooting.
No, that's ridiculous.
And he totally failed at everything in life. And then he's got the most successful person in the world, and he decides to go kill him. Impossible.
Can't be. It can't be. There has to be somebody else. Has to be.
And whoever it is, it has to involve Jews. It has to involve Jews.
Could it be the simple explanation, the one that we have in front of us? No.
No.
It has to be something else.
Occam's razor is from the devil.
Something else. Has to be. It can't be the simple explanation which is right in front of us. No. It has to be something else. I mean, even if you so badly want to believe that there is a greater conspiracy, it's kind of ridiculous to say, no, it absolutely cannot be this simple explanation. It has to be a huge conspiracy, which I cannot prove at all. That's not smart. Okay, that's incredibly stupid.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Lyndon
been
Johnson
too many decades.
has to have been. But my problem is you're stating all these things as
We can't do
fact.
63. It's such a nonsense to say that it was Lee Harvey Oswald acting
You
by
don't
himself.
know that.
That's just such a nonsense. Okay, yeah, no, I do know it was not Lee Harvey Oswald acting by himself, and then that required national security to lock down the files, and that required the feds to impart, the CIA to impart Operation Mockingbird to convince the public that it was, you can't go against, there's a grieving widow, don't look further into it, don't believe your own eyes.
But let me just say, this is your Candace.
It was
this is
a grand
Candace,
conspiracy that killed JFK.
Candace,
I am going to say that confidently. And I just think we have to grow up. We have to grow up. We can't keep pretending Lee Harvey Oswald killed JFK.
Yeah, if you keep believing that the guy, if you keep believing that the guy with the gun shot the dude who got shot, then you're an idiot. It was the government and the Jews and the police and everyone.
Fine.
We can't keep doing that.
That is your opinion.
No, that's a fact.
No, it's not a fact.
It's a fact.
It's not a fact.
This is Piers trying to explain to her the difference between a fact and like some theory or opinion or something like that. She doesn't get it.
Look, I'm going to say one thing here. It is entirely possible that there was a great conspiracy involved in the killing of JFK. It is also entirely possible, although nothing points at it at all, not a single thing actually points at it, it is entirely possible that even the killing of Charlie Kirk is the result of a larger conspiracy. It could actually be very simple. It could be that somebody paid somebody to look away, to let this other guy who was also paid by somebody to be paid by somebody who was paid by somebody to carry out an assassination. It was made to happen that way, right? It's totally possible that is actually true. It's totally possible that such a conspiracy was at play. It's completely
Totally possible that aliens did it. That's possible. It's not impossible. So it's possible.
Yeah. If we want to go strictly by possibility, yeah, it's not impossible. So, good point.
Touche. Aliens
Not
did
probable, but
and
so
they
it is
did it, and
entirely
they did it
possible.
to cause division and sow discord to weaken the population for their imminent invasion.
So it is entirely possible. So I will not sit here and say, no, it's impossible. It must be this explanation. However, if that is the case, I would like to see evidence for that. If it is impossible for the murderer that we have to murder JFK, or for the murderer of Charlie Kirk to murder Charlie Kirk, if that is impossible, I would like to see the evidence that is impossible. I would like to see the proof for the impossibility of that. I would like to see some evidence which strongly suggests that there was something greater at play. There simply is none. To sit here and say, no, that's impossible. It is absolutely impossible. That is not smart. It's stupidity.
It's pretty bad.
Fact.
The whole reason
fact.
there are still conspiracy theories about JFK's assassination is none of this is a fact. You are
Because the
floating
feds
it
cover
as
it
your
up.
theory.
Because the feds are never going to admit to their
Okay.
own.
Did you catch that? The feds are never going to. So the feds are never going to admit to it, even though you would have been talking about feds from decades ago, and all the people involved, and the police, and everyone. They all could have come forward, but they're just. We know for a fact that no one who's involved in a conspiracy is ever going to come forward. Do you realize how stupid she sounds to people? Guess what? The most common type of conspiracy is people who conspire to commit a crime, and like 5 guys work together to rob a store or something like that. Guess what?
Guys.
Those conspiracies break down. Police separate the people, get them in different rooms, start questioning them. Hey, that guy over there, he says you did it, and he was just, he was just watching stuff like that. Oh, what, he said that? No, he did that. And those conspiracies break down really quickly. I know. I was locked up with tons of people who were involved in a conspiracy. The idea that you just got these, like, one conspiracy after another. It's every year, and there's this huge conspiracy of thousands of people doing this thing, and no one ever bothers to come out and expose it because they'll just never allow that to happen. They'll never
All
allow
right,
that to
David.
happen. What?
Here's one question. You apparently have met many people who were in a conspiracy and who folded at some point and admitted it. However, were any of those people Jews?
That's a good, well, yeah, but
Ignore the one if there was one, but were any of the others Jews?
that's a good point. If Jews were involved, then everyone
Jews
would know.
don't fold.
Jews don't snitch. You know, I was never locked up with anyone who was turned in by a garkid tree, because garkid don't snitch.
Yeah.
Piers, actually, that was an important point that Piers brought up there. Candace, if you actually had solid evidence for some theory about who's involved, then guess what? It would actually be somewhat convincing, and then it wouldn't be all these different conspiracies. It would just be the one with the evidence. But there's a reason that there's a trillion different conspiracy theories. It's because not one of them has any solid evidence. So yeah, it's also a massive violation of Occam's razor, in that you don't want to multiply causes beyond what's necessary to account for the evidence. So if you actually have good reason to think that Lee Harvey Oswald acting alone could not have done what is needed to be done, then you can say, okay, someone else is involved. And then you start, okay, what else is required? When your conspiracy ends up being just thousands and thousands of people, and then in order to to figure out how this was done, then it requires, in other words, if you figure out how the media are controlled, then you need the people doing that. And then why don't the media come forward? Well, they must be about to be assassinated, so they know they'll be assassins. So now you got this team of assassins who's involved, who's ready to kill anyone. It's like I don't know. I'm totally open to the idea that it's more than Lee Harvey Oswald, that there are other people involved. Totally reasonable. I'm totally open to the idea that it's more than Tyler Robinson, that it's this, there's more people involved. Just this, when you're bringing up this massive multi-nation conspiracy, all to explain a bullet. Okay. You sound nuts to me.
Here's the thing, David. It seems that you are very much under the influence of this greater conspiracy too, because you have just referenced the so-called Occam's razor. I know for a fact, as a result of my investigations, that Occam himself never actually had a razor. He never actually owned one. So when you say Occam's razor, you are simply adopting whatever the feds and those who are involved in this giant conspiracy are telling you, and are telling you to tell others. I know for a fact that he never had a razor, and I would like to sit here and prove that he never had a razor, but of course they don't want you to know. So I know for a fact that he never had a razor, and it's actually ridiculous to believe that he did have a razor.
Speaking of Jews, Ash Mays says, as someone who actually uncovered a legit conspiracy once, she has no freaking clue. That's true.
There you go. So we have a Jew here in the chat saying that he actually uncovered a legit conspiracy. Has anybody else actually uncovered legit conspiracies? No. The Jew says he has uncovered it. But why? Because the Jews are involved in all the conspiracies, so it's easy for them to uncover them.
Good point.
Crimes. That is the reason we're still discussing it.
That may be the case, but you can't prove that.
Yeah, well, I can prove common sense that Lee Harvey Oswald did not stand on a
you
grassy
admit it's your
knoll
opinion.
and assassinate a president. And LBJ, like Charlie says in that clip,
He was in a building.
The argument from common sense. Look at that.
Yeah, when you're asked for evidence, you say, well, it's common sense.
I mean, it's common sense.
Again, keep in mind, when this was Mott and Bailey fallacy right here. This was just Mott and Bailey fallacy right there. Guys, remember the Mott and Bailey fallacy? We talked about it years ago, but the Mott is like this little castle structure, like a tower.
Why are you so obsessed with fallacy, man?
Yeah. So there's the Mott, that's like the castle. Then there's the Bailey, that's the surrounding area. The Mott and Bailey fallacy is so the idea between having a little castle structure and then having the surrounding village area is that when an enemy approaches, you don't need to defend the surrounding area. You retreat to the little fortress there. You retreat to that. So the Mott and Bailey fallacy is when you're making this big claim, but when you're challenged on it, you retreat to some easier to defend claim that isn't a defense of the bigger thing that you just claimed, right? So she says there's this multi-nation conspiracy to assassinate JFK, and Jews are involved, the feds are involved, the police are involved, there's all kinds of people involved. When Piers says you can't prove that, what's your evidence for that? You have no evidence for that. She says, well, it's just common sense that it just can't be him by himself on the grass. Okay, if you wanted to say you have reason to think that it's not just him, I mean, I'd be totally open to that. What did you just defend? Oh, he's not by himself. Okay, how did that get you to grand conspiracy of multiple governments involved? How did you get to that? So you see it? She had this huge conspiracy theory. And okay, what's your proof of that? Well, you can't show us that. Show us the evidence. Oh, well, it's just common sense that it wasn't just him. Okay, common sense that it wasn't just him does not get you this grand conspiracy. I'm saying that because that's what Candace tends to do. Look, there's this huge conspiracy in all these different nations and Egyptian planes and the French Foreign Legion and Israel, of course, and the U.S. federal government and Kash Patel and Turning Point themselves and maybe Erica, everyone working together. Okay, what's your evidence? Well, it's just obvious that Tyler Robinson didn't work alone. Okay, that saying Tyler Robinson didn't work alone is about 100 trillion miles away from showing this grand conspiracy theory. She does this over and over again. I might need to make a video just of the various fallacies and manipulation tactics Candace uses.
Still talking about the Mott and Bailey fallacy.
Pretty bad. What are you talking about? Mott and Bailey fallacy was like an hour ago, dude. Where you been?
people should go pursue.
Yes, I know Charlie
all
said
of the
that.
weird things that happened that day that were unusual, and LBJ
All right, but let's
decided
get
not
back
to
to
ride that
all right,
day.
let's get
and then
back to-
suddenly he reversed course on all of JFK's
let's move
policies,
off
and
from
he was fighting
JFK.
AIPAC. Israel killed JFK.
All right.
Now, going back to your point about Turning Point.
Did you just hear that?
Wait.
She's just saying how LBJ was doing it. He did it. He did it to reverse all his policies, and then right after she says Israel killed him.
So she just said a few minutes ago that she would never put something out there without having evidence. And now she says, Israel killed him. Israel killed him. Israel killed him. I know this for a fact. Israel killed him. Israel did it. Israel did it. Everybody knows Israel did it.
And they controlled the
transatlantic
transatlantic slave trade.
I know that Israel did it because it's just common sense.
I know Israel did it because I'm really mad at Jews, and so they're behind everything.
And it's just common sense.
Guys, that's like fundamental to her. If she likes you, you're innocent. There can be no evidence against you. Just ask Andrew Tate, right? If she doesn't like you, no evidence is required. You obviously did it. That's freaking mental.
And when I started talking trash about Jews, lots of Jews started attacking me and calling me anti-Semitic. So therefore,
that's
the
how I
Jews
knew.
killed JFK.
That's how I knew it.
USA.
Yes.
And the ridiculous idea that implicating this is a $100 million organization.
Yeah.
Common sense. If this was not even a high profile political assassination and this was just a guy who worked at a company that was $100 million, right? Common sense inquiry is, was there a financial motive for this person to be dead? Okay.
You get this? Common sense is there a financial motivation? This from the woman who's gotten a ton of money from all of this.
This is like Sherlock Holmes 101. And this is what I mean when I say that the public no longer trusts the media because you're acting us to be stupid. And we don't want to do that. We actually don't want to pretend that we're clinical idiots who can't assess things and go, oh, there could be a massive motive here to have Charlie dead, especially when it seems very strange that
There could be.
There could be. Not there is, and I know it.
We just need evidence for it, and you don't provide any. You just go, this doesn't make sense, and then you come out with this deranged conspiracy theory. And we'd say,
I
okay,
agree.
well, yeah, we
could
need
be.
evidence for that. Oh, boy.
I agree, and even David agrees there could be a conspiracy.
I agree. There could be. I would just need to see evidence for it to take it seriously.
You need. I mean, what about common sense?
Yeah, see, someone like Tyler Robinson. Okay, had his granddad's rifle. Charlie gets shot. Tyler was up on the building, jumps off. His parents turn him in. Got the confession and the text. Okay, I take that seriously because there's some evidence there. When you say Israel did it, okay, what's the evidence there? But we're supposed to take that seriously. From the woman who says she won't just toss out accusations like that without proof, and yet she does it every single freaking show she does. Gaslighting.
Yahoo.
I'm not going to be
nobody
quiet about this anymore. I'm not going to be quiet about this anymore. Candace has a penis. Candace Owens has a penis. I'm not going to just put out random things out there, but Candace Owens has a penis, and isn't it quite obvious to everybody?
So she's not a lesbian. She's a man who's married to a woman.
She's a lesbian. Her actual name is Mandis. Well, that's what she's known as. So she has a penis, and she is trying so hard to talk about this Charlie Kirk conspiracy because this is how she gets people distracted, so that nobody ever uncovers the uncomfortable fact, which is common sense to everybody, that Candace has a penis.
And maybe Turning Point was about to disclose that she has a penis, and so she did this to distract everyone.
Had a clue of what happened. This guy's doing the rounds on Fox News and saying, I didn't kill Charlie Kirk. That's kind of weird. Did you feel compelled to jump on to Piers Morgan's show and say, just so everybody knows, I didn't kill Charlie Kirk? Why would he say that?
So I want to...
Because
that's
he
not
was...
what happened.
Yeah.
He was specifically asked about it, which is why he responded.
Yeah, he responded because he was
basically
asked.
Laughed it off.
Because people instantly started accusing Israel of being involved, so he responded. What Netanyahu was doing originally was just wishing condolences and so on and saying how sad it was because Charlie was a great friend to them. Yeah. Shocker. Why would when so many people were turning against Israel, why would Netanyahu want to come out and say, gosh, this was a guy who supported us and it's really sad that he just got killed.
So
the only reason is because he did it.
So Netanyahu was asked about this, and he then dismisses it as a ridiculous thing and says, "Of course, Israel did not. Of course, Israel did not kill Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was a great friend of Israel." So here's the funny thing. Here's the funny dilemma about this whole issue. Had Netanyahu not said anything, Candace would have said, "Why is he
Yep.
not talking about this? Why is he not? Why is he being
Why is he
quiet?"
strangely silent? I mean, who wouldn't come out? Oh, if he's this great defender of Israel and he was on your side, why wouldn't you come out and start talking? Why wouldn't you start coming out? Yeah, it's just not vibing right. It's not vibing right. I know the Jews did it. Yeah, that's the other
Had
thing.
he been asked about it, and he said, "This is so ridiculous. I don't even want to comment on it." Candace would have said, "Why would he not comment on this? This is a very important
Can't give us a
question.
straight
Everybody has
answer,
on their
hey?
mind." Oh.
Yeah, guys, it's a problem when no matter what you do, it's evidence of your guilt.
Yeah.
Another problem.
So involved as somebody who's
Candace,
fighting
I
a
wanna get-
97,000 front war.
Candace, I want to get to the reality of what you're actually saying. So when you say
Yes.
that somebody at Turning Point USA, Charlie's company, was complicit in his murder, who? Who was?
I believe that there were multiple people at Turning Point who are, as I have said many times, my exact words are, they are engaged in a cover-up of what
Did you catch that? Watch. She's going to deny that she said they were complicit. She's saying they're engaged in a cover-up, right? She said they were complicit in the killing. Now she's only saying they were involved in a cover-up afterward. Doesn't that, so not that it's just you were told later on to help cover it up and you go along with it.
happened to Charlie on that day.
No, but who
I've
was
been
involved
very-
in his murder?
I didn't say that they murdered Charlie.
You said
My
that
show,
people
I've
at
been very
Turning
clear.
Point were complicit in his murder.
No, my exact sentence that I said was that there were people at Turning Point who are engaged in a cover-up.
No, you liar.
You freaking liar.
You absolute liar. Gaslighting. Guys, she is a professional, chronic, compulsive gaslighter. She said it 10 minutes ago. She just said it 10 minutes ago in this interview. Said that they were complicit in killing Charlie. Right here. Hey, you said they're complicit. I never said that. I just said they're involved in a cover-up. I'm assuming like Cran murders or Nathan have put that together. If not, it'd be easy to toss together.
So
No, you
here's
didn't.
the fun thing. I'm reading the transcript right now of what she actually said 10 minutes before, and upon being asked the question of who actually killed Charlie Kirk, she says that of course this has to be a great conspiracy, and it wasn't just one person from the grass shooting at him. There had to be multiple people involved. That telling people not to believe their own gut. Obviously, for this there have to been people involved to pull it off. Multiple people involved. There had to have been people at Turning Point that were complicit in having this happen. So she was clearly saying, she clearly said just before that in order to make the killing of Charlie Kirk happen, there had to be people involved from Turning Point USA. Now she is asked by Piers who she thinks in Turning Point was complicit, and she's like, I never said
that. I never said that.
She just said it.
Yeah.
It's right here. You can look at it for yourself. Open the video of Candace Owens interviewing, of Piers Morgan interviewing Candace Owens. Go to minutes 17 and 47 or 50 seconds, and you will see right there that she very clearly says that somebody at Turning Point had to be involved for the assassination to happen. And now she's denying that she ever said this. She is such a... And then she even says, my exact words were... No, those weren't your exact words.
Yeah.
She clearly said that they were
She
involved.
says, these are my exact words, and it's not anything she said at all. Gosh.
Believe
Sorry, you
that
didn't.
thoroughly.
Candace, you didn't say that. You said literally.
I did say that on my entire
You said there
show.
were people at Turning Point complicit in
No.
his murder.
Okay.
That's what you said.
When you and I were discussing, that's why I said, let's go back. I was applying the logic of a conspiracy to JFK. I said, okay, if JFK, you have people that are complicit. Of course,
Let's
if you
forget
apply that
JFK.
logic, if
Let's
there is a
forget
conspiracy,
JFK.
there's going to be multiple people that are going to be complicit.
And you said
by the
Turning
time,
Point.
in order for a large stage murder to
But you
happen.
specifically said, you didn't say complicit in a cover-up. You said complicit in the murder. Because I said, who at Turning Point
let
was
me
involved
clarify for you.
in his murder? And
Let
you
me
said,
clarify for you. Okay, you can keep saying what I said, or you can listen to what I am saying.
Okay.
When I was using the analogy of JFK and we were connecting it, I was basically pushing back on you because you were suggesting that, all of these people being involved would be crazy. So I was applying the analogy
I said,
of
I
what
don't
happened to
know.
JFK. Well, you actually, if you go back and
I
listen,
said, I don't know.
suggesting that a
I
conspiracy...
said, you don't know either.
He did that. Yeah, he did.
You're floating theories.
When we started
which are
talking about the
you're
JFK...
perfectly
I have to say, Piers is accurately describing what he said and accurately describing what Candace said. Candace is completely making up what she said and making up what Piers said. Huh. Interesting. And yet they're both journalists.
Listen, let me make it clear.
Piers, I really think you're not holding on to your thoughts
Candace,
here correctly.
let me spell out my thought very clearly.
This is, by the way, this is that's gaslighting. You have a mental problem. Oh, if you're not remembering this, how I'm telling you it should be remembered, you've got a mental problem. Piers, you're not holding on to your thoughts. You're not holding on to your thoughts.
We started talking about JFK. The implication that you were making was that it was crazy to suggest that multiple people could have been involved at different levels.
Candace.
I was then connecting the dots and saying that in order for the JFK assassination to happen, there had to have been tons of people that were complicit.
I understand.
Right?
I heard what you said.
Maybe you're the person who takes the cameras down. Maybe you're the person that told him to drive that day. Maybe you're LBJ. So they're not all complicit in the murder, but they're all at different varying stages involved in the cover-up. Right? So that's what a grand conspiracy actually is. And I do believe, so you don't have to go back and we don't have to go through it. I'm telling you what I think about Turning Point.
Did you hear that? We don't need to go back and we don't need to go through it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we don't need to go. We don't need to go back. Just ignore what I said 10 minutes ago.
Because you just said I never said that, but we know for a fact that you did say that. So of course you don't want to go back.
Yeah, and you have mental problems if you think that we need to go back. Just trust
She is
me.
such a dishonest
Trust
liar.
me when I'm telling you I never said that.
I am very known for being honest about what I believe. I'm not exactly a person that you got to pull teeth on.
Sure.
I believe that there are people at Turning Point who are engaged in covering up what happened on that day.
But were any of them engaged in the planning of the murder of Charlie Kirk?
I wouldn't know how it was planned. Absolutely, I can't make that. I cannot confidently make that statement. I can say confidently that I know they're engaged in the cover-up because I've been investigating what happened on that day and what transpired thereafter. I've been clear. I've named those people on my show. I've said they are engaged in a cover-up, and I've listed the lies. So you don't have to try to make something out of what I didn't say. I tell you what I think. It's already...
He's telling you exactly what you did say, and you're denying it.
And now he's asking her to clarify who is involved, and she's just saying, "Oh, there were people who were engaged in covering it up." Can you just answer the freaking question? Who was involved?
Need to get more controversial, okay? Do I think someone at Turning Point pulled the trigger? No. Obviously, I don't think someone at Turning Point pulled the trigger. We don't even know who did pull the trigger.
Did anybody at Turning Point, in your opinion, know that Charlie Kirk was going to be murdered?
There is specifically 2 people at Turning Point USA, and I have communicated that information to Erica and Justin Strife, that I would not be surprised if they had foreknowledge of Charlie Kirk being assassinated.
But do you have any evidence?
I'm not going to name...
That means they were involved in the killing and thereby made the killing happen.
I am not going to name those people.
She just contradicted herself. She just contradicted what she just...
No, she said there are 2 people that she wouldn't be surprised if they had something to do with it. That's very different from saying there are people who are complicit.
Yeah, but when she says that she wouldn't be surprised if they had something to do with it, she's basically saying that they probably did have something to do with it.
We'll see.
People, okay, because it's not right for me to name those people until I know for a fact that they did.
Did you give the name?
Yeah, really?
Yeah, she has to know. Candace doesn't share anything until she knows for a fact, right? So she knows for a fact about the Egyptian planes and Israel and people at Turning Point and the feds, Kash Patel, the beekeeper cult, Mormons, the French, the Macrons. The Macrons are in this, and the French Foreign Legion, and she knows because she pointed all that out, so she must know.
Did you give the names to Erica?
Yes, so I absolutely did.
You gave the names to Erica of 2 employees, current employees at Turning Point, who you believe were involved in the preparation for the murder of Charlie Kirk. Is that what you're saying?
I told them that if I were in your shoes, these would be 2 employees that I would look further into. That's
and what evidence do you have that they had any prior knowledge of the murder?
Because I don't have concrete evidence is the reason why I'm not naming them. So
Do you hear this? The fact that I don't have concrete evidence is why I'm not naming them right now. But, I still... It was enough for me to say they're complicit.
I've been
so you've got no evidence,
saying...
but you're telling the widow that these 2 people may have been involved in the murder. But you see the problem.
Well, what the evidence for it is people that there is not concrete evidence. It's like you're trying to get me to say something that I never said and then asking me to defend it.
No, I'm asking what evidence you've got.
Let's actually go to, you're asking me privately, did I communicate to them that I think you should look further? That's called an investigation, Piers, okay? So what you're doing is a strategy of like, if somebody dies, you're saying to the police, you can't ask any questions about anybody unless you have concrete evidence. We're at the stage of investigation.
I'm not saying
yes,
that.
You can.
Hey,
She thinks she's an investigator.
Hey, we've got this big Candace fans that won't shut up over here. Warrior for Christ said, He just changed her words, lol. You believe we're involved. She said she wouldn't be surprised if they were. I'm talking about what she said 10 minutes ago, which apparently you took her advice when she said, no, I didn't say that. And then AP literally read the transcript and she said, people at Turning Point were complicit in the murder. She said it. Do you realize when she tells them, nope, I never said that, it doesn't matter. You can read exactly what she said. Nope. No. Gosh,
Charlie was killed by Israel. Candace said it. Actually, Candace just told me that she doesn't know for a fact, so therefore she has never actually claimed it. And by the way, Charlie Kirk was definitely killed by somebody within Turning Point USA.
Yeah.
But wait a minute. Candace just told us that she never said such a thing. Never mind. Candace never said such a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So guys, think about this. Candace is asked by Piers, hey, who's involved in killing Charlie? And she says people at Turning Point were complicit. And then when he asks her for evidence later, I never said that. By the way, she does that over and over and over again. Israel's involved. See, oh, really? What's your proof? I never said they did it. She does that over and over again. Everything she says in one episode, by the time someone exposes it and later on, I never said that.
But you're suggesting that we can't ask questions about Israel.
Yep. So Piers asked her who's involved in killing Charlie Kirk. She said people at Turning Point. Then later in this same interview, 10 minutes later, he says, okay, what's your evidence they're involved? I never said what? No, I just said they're involved in a cover-up. Okay, well, if anyone at Turning Point did have something to do with, did have knowledge, who would it be? And she said, well, they're two individuals. Okay, obviously, when you said that there were people at Turning Point who were complicit, if these are the two you're suspicious of, that's the two you meant. And yet her fans here will say, oh no, oh my goodness, you're changing her words. Gosh, you're stupid. You deserve to be manipulated because you're freaking morons. You're basically, for a manipulator like Candace, it's like gold mine. You're the gold mine. You're the gold mine. They look for people who will believe any idiotic thing they say. And if they contradict themselves 10 minutes later and say, I never said that, and they'll just go, oh, she never said that. Candace's fans are like that. Tate's fans are like that, right? You remember we noticed this from Tate? He can say, yeah, so that's what I dupe the girls, and I use this method and I get them to fall in love with me. And then I have my bottom B and she goes in there and he's describing what is one of the definitions of sex trafficking. And then later on, so he can brag about this and have an entire PhD course on how to do it. And then later on, when it gets pointed out that it's all illegal, I never did any of that. And his fans will go, he never did any of that. And you say, look, there's all this evidence. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Same kind of fans. No wonder they work together. What?
Somebody said that this is the result of Catholicism. This has nothing to do with Catholicism. Candace is her own person.
But she's a Catholic.
And she's an evil.
Yeah, you can't answer that, can you? She is a Catholic. Aha. Busted.
It's got nothing to do with Catholicism. She doesn't even follow the Catholic Church. And I'm not a Catholic, but don't make this about Catholicism.
You say you're not a Catholic. But that's exactly what we would expect someone who's involved in a Catholic conspiracy to say.
That's true. However, you should not make the claim that this is about Catholicism. It's not about Catholicism. There are lots of good Catholics most Catholics are against this kind of stuff. So it's got nothing to do with that at all. Nothing to do with that.
So AP goes to Israel, comes back, and decides that the Catholic Church has nothing to do with this. Yeah, nothing suspicious here. Nothing suspicious.
To be fair, Israel did pay me $7,000 to defend the Catholic Church from conspiracy theories. So,
all right, nothing suspicious here.
Let me give people in the public the permission to do this. Follow your instinct. If you feel something is off, keep asking questions until you get concrete evidence. And when you have concrete evidence, you should name those people. I don't have the concrete evidence.
You have named other people.
I find there inconsistencies.
Okay. But you have named other people.
Piers, you can't ask me questions. You can't ask me questions. Let me finish it. I have communicated to them that their inconsistencies make me uncomfortable. I have communicated to them that somebody else who is a third party gave me some information that I am not yet comfortable as I am vetting it, giving it to the public, because that's the responsible thing to do. These are private citizens. And that if I were in their shoes and had more access to information, I would go down that route, okay? Unless I am fully confident that they actually did have something to do, like here is the smoking gun, I'm not going to name those people.
Okay.
But the people I have named thus far are people that I believe are engaged in a cover-up. Like I said, hold me accountable for what I have said.
Let's talk about one of those people. Let's talk about one of those people,
Cool.
because the Turning Point producer, Blake Neff, wrote this in early December. Ever since Charlie's murder, Candace Owens has leveled a flood of allegations against people at Turning Point USA, people at Turning Point Action, and people who work for the show. She has made them against some of Charlie's closest friends and against some of his most dedicated employees. She suggested that Michael McCoy, Charlie's chief of staff, knew Charlie would be murdered, was happy that he died, and stayed silent because he was told he would be the next Charlie. Now, let's move then to, you said in your podcast that new information was given to you in your meeting with Erica Kirk about Mikey McCoy that's now satisfied you. On a video on the 27th of October, you devoted a whole episode to this guy and his supposedly strange behavior.
I never said I have information that satisfied me about Mikey McCoy.
Well, I'll ask you to clarify.
Quote.
Okay, well, you can clarify that in a moment. But let's hear what you said about Mikey McCoy before the meeting.
The funny thing is that
So we decided-
now whenever Candace says, I never said, I highly suspect that she actually did say that.
Yep.
Whatever it is.
That's the method.
To slow this clip down, and we're going to watch this clip slow down so you can see that it is exactly 834 milliseconds from the time that you hear the shot. That is how long it takes for Mikey McCoy to put the phone to his ear. Now, why is that precise timing so important? Because there's no dialing. Mikey didn't have time to dial, okay? You can't dial and put your phone to an ear in 0.834 seconds.
So he already had someone on the phone?
Now, what was the new information that you got in your meeting with Erica about Mikey McCoy?
So I'm sorry your gotcha is not going too well, but I never then said, I am now satisfied that Mikey put the phone to his ear. What I presented to the public, it was what
I
Erica
didn't say
gave to
that.
me.
Sorry, just to clarify.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you did say you have
inferred on your
satisfied.
podcast. Well, let me give you the chance to clarify. Inferred on your podcast after the meeting with Erica that you'd received new information about Mikey McCoy, which had changed your mind. Would that be the best way to categorize it, or changed some of your mind?
No, I never said that. I just presented it. Well, the only thing that I clarified on my podcast, if that's what they're getting wrong, is that some people thought that he was using a nickname that was his middle name, and actually his real name is Michael, like first name Michael, because I was like trying to find something, and I was like, oh, maybe he's actually using his middle name. So that's what I clarified on my podcast.
And you were given
Beyond
call
that,
logs, is that right?
I presented.
You were shown call logs? You were shown call logs?
They gave.
All right, this is boring the crap out of me now. I wanted to get to the point. I just looked it up where it was. There was a point I was wanting to get to that where I thought Piers actually made a good point. I'm not sure exactly where it is. I looked it up, but I did cut out the commercials and stuff, so the timing is off. Well,
I did not believe you when you said that Piers actually made a good point. You don't have to now make it up.
I'm going to prove it, dude. I'm going to
believe
prove it to you.
I do not believe it. I've never heard Piers make a good point in my entire life.
I think this is a little before it. Again, my times do not line up with the transcript times because I chopped off the intro because it's stuff that would come up later, and I cut out the commercials, so the timing's off. Looks like it might be right around this. Let's see.
Background and experience in doing things because it's lucrative and not always because it's sensitive.
Sure,
it's always lovely.
You can call me a hypocrite as much as you want. I don't care. It's fine. I'm just simply saying what other people have been saying about you. I didn't say I felt that.
Thank you.
I said
I'll let you know what people are saying about you.
Hang on. Let me see. Let me back this up.
Pissing contests among two extremely annoying people.
When I am being called names by someone who has quite a year background and experience in doing things because it's lucrative and not always because it's sensitive.
Sure,
it's always lovely.
You can call me a hypocrite as much as you want. I don't care. It's fine. I'm just simply saying what other people have been saying about you. I didn't say I felt that.
Thank you.
I said
I'll let you know what people are saying about you too. I'll keep you
I
posted
read
on
it
what people
all,
are saying
like
about
you. I read it all the time. But I would say that, like I said at the start of this interview, I don't know whether any of the things
But I
you're saying
know.
are true or not.
Hang on. I think it must be before
I
this.
don't
I don't
know.
I don't know
person
I
to
don't
give
know
that
that you are,
assessment,
but I do.
Come on,
I
man.
don't know, but I
say
know.
the interesting thing, man.
Because there has not been anything that has come out of this investigation that makes any sense, that the public is not listening to. I am sorry to say this, Piers, people like you. And what I love about you and I sitting down is that this exact same time last year, you were doing the same weird questioning and making all these things when I said that they were committing a Holocaust against the Gazans, and then you changed your mind.
Actually,
So you know what, Piers?
this time,
I'll see you next year when you change your mind again, and we have more information about what happened, and you realize
Candace,
that the difference between me and you is that I have the courage to take the risks and ask the questions first.
Yeah.
Okay, before it's popular. You wait until it becomes popular and then you change your mind.
You may remember that one of your courageous moves was to repeatedly tell the world that Brigitte Macron is a man. As you now know,
and she is.
As you now know, we had a $300,000 bet to charity about this because she's a woman.
Yes.
Is my view.
She's not a woman.
Well, we're going to find out is the point, because it's going to court, they're suing you, and when she proves, as she will, that she's a woman, because it's very easy to prove, and you lose that case, then
so easy that she refuses to do it for years.
But then it will become more obvious to people that
You see, she's laughing. Haha, she hasn't stepped out and refuted people. I mean, has Candace refuted our claim that she's a man and that her husband is a woman?
She's implicating herself as we speak even more. So there is. It's not even that there is no evidence that Brigitte Macron is not a woman. It is simply absolutely clear that she is a woman, and any suggestion that she's not a woman is simply retarded.
It's pretty bad.
look, I think you're a brilliant operator at what you do. That's, you know, I like you personally. You know that, right? None of this is personal for me about you at all. I just have watched him last year from Brigitte Macron now into the Charlie Kirk story. I think you've developed a modus operandi, which, to put it politely, is you flying what we would call in the world of journalism kites, and just seeing what can cause the most merry hell, therefore get you the biggest audience, therefore make you the most amount of money. And people have, as you know, you've been widely attacked now by a lot of people who say that you're just a ghoul, a vulture. You're doing this deliberately. You're inventing things or just flying ludicrous conspiracy theories to make money. Now, again, Candace, I don't know that you are, but I do know
celebrity.
Can you not interrupt me? By your rule?
I do think it's pretty rich. It's pretty rich coming from you, is all I'm going to say. That's me putting it very nicely, given your background, your career, your celebrity involvement, Princess Diana. Wrong messenger is what I'll say right off the top, okay? Wrong messenger. Okay. What you are mistaking, or I guess we're not even mistaking because you know what this is, you're talking about power versus the people. And you are always on the side of power first. You're on the side of the Israelis. It's so horrible. And, I'm going to pretend I don't see tens of thousands of Gazans dying.
I've actually been very critical of the Israelis, as you know,
where
in the
your
last
bread
year.
is buttered. Everybody
I've actually
knows
been very
Brigitte
critical of the
Macron
Israeli
has a
government.
penis, okay? It's very easy to present photos of 30 years of your life. Brigitte keeps teasing, Brigitte, nobody asked you for a blood test. We asked you for some photos and you refused to do.
She just said no one's asking you for a blood test. I remember Candace saying, I will send my doctors to you for the blood test. And then no one's asking for a blood test. She said, I'll send my doctors to you for the blood test. What a compulsive liar, man. Gaslighter.
You know what the funny thing is? She's actually expecting Brigitte Macron to act as if she was the suspect here in the story. She's expecting Brigitte Macron to actually lower herself to try and prove to the court and to her in front of everybody, to publicly humiliate herself and publicly prove to everybody that she's actually a woman. So, as if she was being suspected of a crime, as if she was suspected by the public of being guilty of something, as if there was this huge doubt. Brigitte Macron is expected to whip the invisible thing out in front of a court and make Candace satisfied and go quiet. What a stupid expectation. She is the one who is making these ridiculous accusations. I am no fan of European politicians, and certainly no fan of the Macrons or anything like that. Okay, but she is actually making these ridiculously baseless, idiotic accusations, and it actually matters more because it's about the public. She's making the public dumber. by making these conspiracy theories. She's making everybody who listens to her dumber. She is actually, I mean, watching the Kardashians is probably significantly more intellectually enriching than following her idiotic conspiracy theories here. You're just getting sucked into an idiotic, baseless, dumb conspiracy theory that probably trains your mind to be completely cancerous.
As an example of what you were just talking about, this is before your time, AP, but even when I was
always mock the little children.
When I was in college, I was a double major in biology and philosophy, but in biology class in anatomy and physiology, human anatomy and physiology, my professor was talking about the claim that Jamie Lee Curtis, the actress, is actually a hermaphrodite, and I just looked it up. I typed in, is Jamie Lee Curtis a hermaphrodite? It says, no, Jamie Lee Curtis is not intersex or a hermaphrodite. This is a persistent Hollywood myth, and she has publicly confirmed she doesn't have any intersex conditions. She is the daughter of actors Tony Curtis and Janet Leigh, is married to Christopher Guest, and is known for her acting career. But yeah, so she didn't respond to this for years. And people would ask her about it, and she would just go, do you seriously expect me to respond to this? People kind of understand if anyone can just raise an accusation against you and then you have to start letting them examine your body and so on to prove them wrong. That's kind of dangerous. She seems like just ignore the nonsense. But yeah, it is weird to say. I can say, hey, you lady, you're a man, and then it's on you. It's your obligation to prove me wrong. And if you just take me to court over it, well, I'll say, well, why didn't you go the easy route and just prove it? Well, I shouldn't have to do that. But if I'm going to prove you wrong, I'm going to do it in court, where you're going to have to pay me piles and piles and piles of money as a warning to other people. So that's
I hope that Candace actually does what she says and hires those dumb lawyers that fit her expectations of what a lawyer is supposed to be. I hope that she sues people left and right, and that she gets sued left and right, and that she always goes with her expectation of what a lawyer should be doing. Good luck, Candace.
Find out,
and everybody knows
Candace,
that
we're
Charlie
gonna find out.
was not shot by Tyler Robinson on a rooftop. I am sorry that in this day and age, there seems to be such a shortage of testosterone that a woman has to be the person that states the obvious, right?
That's her. The other thing she does now. That the reason you don't go with her in her conspiracy theories is because you're low testosterone. You're not really manly, and so a woman has to be the one putting out all this stuff, and because she's the only one with courage.
I invite you to join me, and I know that you will by the end of next year, because
CCTV footage of Tyler Robinson climbing down the roof, but whatever.
I'm not going to get away with what they did to my friend Charlie Kirk, and I am not going to change my mind, least of all when I am being called names by someone who has quite a background and experience in doing things because it's lucrative and not always because it's sensitive.
Sure,
listen, it's always lovely.
You can call me a hypocrite as much as you want. I don't care. It's fine. I'm just simply saying what other people have been saying about you. I didn't say I felt that.
Thank you.
I said
I'll let you know what people are saying about you too. I'll keep you posted on what people are saying about you.
I read it all the time, but I would say that, like I said at the start of this interview, I don't know whether any of the things.
Yeah, AP said it, and she hasn't offered any proof to the contrary.
Everybody knows that Candace Owens has a penis.
And that her husband has a vagina. And that he's the one who actually gave birth to their children.
Yes. We know this for a fact. Everybody knows it, but nobody has the balls.
No, but we know it. And yeah, no one else except us has the ball. We're the only ones willing to ask these questions, guys. We're the only ones willing to do it.
Nobody else has the balls to admit it, because all those who are supposed to have balls actually don't have balls because they're all women.
All right, we're getting to the point where Piers actually raised a good point here.
Right.
He raised multiple good points along the way, but this is one I didn't think of.
True or not, I just do know you're saying a huge amount of stuff. It's making you very wealthy. You're getting millions and millions of people coming in, which by the way,
what is this idea that it's making me very wealthy? Can you actually explain that?
Doesn't she have like 150,000, 200,000 people watching live? Like it's just super chat, 100, 200, 200, 200, 100.
Why is she acting so outraged about this? Let me check here quickly. Candace Owens. Let's check her channel here. So for the last month, everything she talked about, every single show was about Charlie Kirk. Okay, estimated monthly earnings are somewhere at the higher end of $160,000 for that, nearly $200,000 simply from YouTube ads.
Just from YouTube ads, guys, not from all the ads she puts into her videos.
Yes,
That's just
so
the
simply
YouTube
just
ad
from
revenue.
YouTube ads, just from YouTube ads for only talking about Charlie Kirk conspiracy theories. She makes only from those YouTube ads, and that's not even the beginning of it. She makes, oh my gosh, actually, that's completely wrong. Wait a minute.
Well,
according to my system here, which comes from IQ Analyzing, which is a system, it says estimated monthly earnings somewhere between $176,000 and $528,000.
so $500,000, up to $500,000. That's the ad revenue.
Yeah.
And so that's the YouTube ad revenue. That is different from all the paid sponsorships that she has throughout her her live streams and so
My
on.
guesstimate would be, considering that she has a largely Western audience and thereby runs her videos in countries where ads bring in a lot of money, is that it is somewhere in the higher end. So she probably at least makes over $300,000 per month simply talking about Charlie Kirk conspiracy theories.
Yes, I'm going to explain it to you slowly because I had a huge run-in, for example.
This is just like a talking point.
No, I'm going to explain exactly what I mean. When Sandy Hook happened.
Here we go. This was the interesting point. Sandy Hook and Alex Jones. Sandy Hook, what did Alex Jones do? So Sandy Hook, guy walked in there, killed a bunch of kids. Alex Jones, this doesn't make sense. Oh, here's something that doesn't make sense. Oh, why didn't this person react like this? Oh, this doesn't make sense right here. And he made it a big government plot.
Alex Jones began weaponizing the Sandy Hook tragedy and weaponizing the grief of the poor parents who'd lost their children. And I began to attack him in public. And then eventually there was a court case and it turned out he'd been spewing deliberate lies and that every time he spewed them, they found he made hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in the immediate aftermath of spewing the repeated lies that it was all staged and the families were actors and so on, which he knew to be lies. And he made himself extremely rich and ended up with $1 billion defamation finding against him because he'd been deliberately weaponizing people's grief. And the charge...
Yeah, I'm asking you to explain the actual financial metrics. How was he making money?
I'm explaining to you the analogy, which is there are, as you know, right now, a lot of people, from Tim Pool to the New York Post to others, who've come out very stridently in the last week, and say that's exactly what you've been doing with Erica Kirk.
Yeah, but you haven't answered the question. So this is just made up. As I said, this is just all fluff. You're suggesting that I'm making money. Did I sign a new advertiser? Are we reading more ads? Do we put this somewhere else? Do we sign
the more
a book
views
deal
you get on YouTube, the more money you make.
Did I sell a T-shirt? Okay, but come on now, Piers. Money on YouTube? Are you kidding me? I was already in a top 10 podcast globally before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And if you think that I would want my friend to be assassinated so I could go from being in the top 5 to being number 1, you're out of your mind.
No,
okay,
I'm telling you,
it's so disrespectful.
The
point is that everyone who is saying that I'm making more money cannot.
Hey, what month?
That's not what anybody claimed.
What month was Charlie Kirk assassinated, AP?
September.
Yeah, I just looked up her subscriber count over the past year. Her by far biggest boost. If I go back, look, like July and so on, June. Okay, so June, 10,000 subscribers. So for the month of June,
right. Jeez.
For the month of June, she gained 10,000 subscribers. Got that, ladies and gentlemen? For the month of July, up around 10,000 subscribers. So she's hovering around there, right? For the month of October, 710,000 subscribers. So you go to earlier months, again, June, 10,000 subscribers she gained. September, when she started talking about Charlie Kirk, 710,000. Her monthly subscribers went up 700,000 from what they were a few months earlier.
You can fact check this for yourself.
Why
everybody.
are you saying I'm gaining by? Why are you saying I'm gaining something by this? I don't get it. I don't. What? Me? No.
Go on the website Social Blade and look at her history. Simply go on Social Blade, search for Candace Owens, and then look at the statistics.
Oh, hang on. No, that was the year earlier. So she. Oh yeah, I thought this was the past year. I stand corrected. I thought this was the past year. She was since 2024. She was gaining more subscribers, as in big numbers, but nothing close to the 710,000.
Yes.
So that's interesting. Why if you go back 2 years was she not gaining?
So here's the comparison. In August 2025, she gained 50,000 new subscribers. In September 2025, she gained 710,000 subscribers.
50,000 to 710,000, 1 month to the next.
But of course, no, she gained nothing from talking about Charlie Kirk.
And then she's losing her mind. She's losing her mind over the claim that Alex Jones or her had something to gain by going in this direction.
How I'm making more money, because it's just not true.
What?
As a matter of fact, if you go back throughout her entire lifelong history of her YouTube channel, the biggest new subscriber count ever in the history of her YouTube channel is September 2025, after the death of Charlie Kirk. By far, nothing comes even close.
But nothing to gain. Don't be suspicious at all. And keep in mind, guys, we're not saying therefore involved in the murder, something like that. It's, are you doing this for clicks? Are you putting out all these deranged conspiracy theories for clicks and revenue? No, that's completely absurd. What was her rule earlier? Hey, if there's some sort of financial benefit, of course you need to ask questions about that until it's applied to her and say, hey, wait a minute, you're gaining a bunch of stuff by putting out an endless supply of deranged conspiracy theories. Could you be doing it for that reason? Oh, that's just absolutely insane. No. What have I gained? She's asking right now, what have I gained? What have I gained by any of this? That's what she's claiming. I haven't gained anything by this.
Also want to clarify one thing, because some people, of course, there are, of course, 1 or 2 people who will say, but aren't you making money from this? I have nothing at all against making money. I have nothing at all against gaining new subscribers and new viewers. And
we have a problem being a scumbag to gain.
In order to spread a message, you naturally have to gain more subscribers and more viewers, and thereby also more money. And you have to make the money to make it all sustainable, which is it's incredible how much stuff like this actually costs. But when you turn your entire business into simply focusing on this one topic and being a complete scumbag about it, and then making tons of money through that, at least don't act like, oh, what are you talking about? What am I gaining from this? You're gaining tons of money by being a scumbag.
Yeah. And notice her response here isn't, hey, I'm just interested in the truth. Yes, all the endless trunks of money I get from doing this, that's not my goal. She's acting like she's getting nothing out of this, and apparently neither did Alex Jones.
So you're like,
if she was reporting nothing but the truth and bringing revolutionary ideas to the table, I would want her to get even more out of this.
oh, she got a bump in viewership talking about
Well, are
Charlie,
your
as
YouTube
did
numbers
everyone
up?
in the world, because it was a public assassination. And then it went up in the weeks following, and it went back to normal.
Candace, are your YouTube numbers up since you've been doing the Charlie Kirk investigations?
What I am saying to you is that this is the exact same argument you guys had about Brigitte. So it can't, and then the same exact same argument.
Yes, it was, Candace. Guys, when I said she was having big months and getting tons of subscribers, that was when she was doing the Brigitte stuff. Yes, Candace, that's what's being claimed, that you're going with the deranged theories that gets you a bunch of clicks. And yeah, it's not unique to Charlie. It's what you do. You search around for something that gets you clicks. And once you find it, oh, this just got me. You just keep rolling with that. Until something bigger comes along, and then you latch on to that, and you just keep coming out with insane conspiracy theories, and you just have a huge audience that loves it. What?
This was also being said when I was doing stuff about Brigitte Macron. So are you saying that my thing about Brigitte Macron is stupid?
Yeah. Everyone, did you just catch that? She said. So he's saying, hey, is the reason you're coming up with an endless array with a new conspiracy theory every week? Is the reason you're doing that just for clicks and views? Is that why you're doing it? Because we wondered that about Alex Jones. Like, hey, when you tell people there's this huge government conspiracy to pretend that a bunch of kids got killed and that it really never happened and it's just to take away your guns, well, guess what? You get a ton of people on the edge of their seats wanting to see what you have, what evidence you have for this and so on. And then you just keep, oh yeah, there's this stuff. Oh, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. And so they keep watching and they keep supporting your channel and stuff. Is that the reason you're doing it? Or did you really believe this stuff? And then so Piers brings up, hey, that's what Alex Jones was doing. People think you're doing the exact same thing here. Bunch of deranged conspiracy theories over someone getting killed for clicks and views. Is that what you're doing? And her response is, well, you guys said the same thing when I was going after Bridget McCrone. Right. Right. Because we think you're doing the same thing. We think you're doing the same thing.
I never thought about it that way.
Gosh. All right. Have we seen enough here?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I wanted that point about the parallel with Alex Jones, in that, guys, you had the same crowd. You had the same crowd with the same approach. It's like Candace actually perfected Alex Jones's approach that he used back then. It's just, well, look at this. This doesn't make sense. Oh, look at this picture. It doesn't make sense. Oh, this person's reaction afterwards. That person's clearly covering something up. Isn't it more likely that there's this huge government conspiracy to do all this? Oh yeah, it is more likely. It is more likely. And he got sued and lost for like $1 billion over the damage he did.
Are we done talking about this?
Oh yeah, just I wanted to briefly mention what her main method is. I need to make a separate video about this, guys.
Okay, are we done with the video?
Yeah, unless you want to watch more of it, I can pull it back up.
No, I'm done with this. All right, awesome. See you. Good night.
All right, bye. All right, guys. What I just wanted to bring out to you, Candace's main method. It's the main thing that she does. What the heck is wrong with this dude? Why is he calling back? What?
I tricked you.
Didn't trick anybody. There needs to be a video about this, and it needs to be illustrated using Candace's videos. Guys, there's what's called Brandolini's Law. Brandolini's Law. Learn that. Brandolini's Law. It's also called the BS asymmetry principle. The BS asymmetry principle.
BS. How is that short for whatever you just said? It's not.
That's the thing in psychology and philosophy and so on. They just use the word, man. In fact, I'm gonna have, when I make a video about it, I'm gonna have to use the word. Matter of fact, I'm just gonna use the word because it's standard now in like psychology and philosophy and so on. They just call it bullshit. I don't like cursing. Some of you think that's cursing. That's just what it's called. It's called the bullshit asymmetry principle.
Why would you say that word?
So, guys, we're going to have to get used to that word and not consider it a curse word anymore because it has taken on a completely relevant use.
It is kind of funny to me that Americans generally consider that like a very strong word or a curse word because, like, growing up in Germany, it was like, I mean, I would hear that in my first years of school all the time, and then English people hear that all the time, but in America, it's like, no, that's a very strong word, and I don't really get it.
Yeah, some people do, some people don't. It's actually pretty common. You kind of err on the side of not having a bunch of people complain who still think of it as a curse word. So you normally just don't say it.
We can just say Scheiße.
Yep. So let me just get a definition here.
A definition of bullshit.
Do you guys say "stier Scheiße"? Do you say that?
No.
No, that would be the translation, right? So Brandolini's Law, or the Brandolini's Law, or the bullshit asymmetry principle, is an internet adage coined in 2013. This goes back way. People have been pointing it out for centuries, guys. But it became it became a way bigger issue in the age of the internet and social media because you could spread things much faster. So anyway, it got named after a guy who was pointing it out. Anyway, it's an internet adage coined in 2013 by Italian programmer Alberto Brandolini. He compares the considerable effort of debunking misinformation to the relative ease of creating it in the first place. In other words, it's
So don't say relative when Muslims are watching.
Yeah, they'll get aroused. In other words, it's very easy to put out some deranged conspiracy theory or to make something up. It can be a lot of work to actually prove that it's nonsense. So, as he put it, the adage is, the amount of energy needed to refute bullshit is an order of magnitude bigger than that needed to produce it. So very easy to produce it, significantly more difficult to refute it. So you could put out a conspiracy theory in 10 seconds. It may take tons of research and so on to actually prove that it's false. So what Candace Owens has done, she's basically made a bullshit manufacturing show. That's all she does. She puts out some deranged theory that I mean, it might be a small part of her hour-long show, but very easy to put out the insane conspiracy theory, to blame someone, to say, this doesn't make sense. Oh, look at this, look at this. By the time you investigate it and show that it's complete nonsense, she's moved on to 4 more conspiracy theories. By the time you go on and refute those, she's moved on to 15 more. You can never catch up. You'll never catch up with the amount of bullshit she's pointing out. You can't do it because it takes you way, way longer to refute it than it does for her to make it up and put it out there. Egyptian planes, blah, 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 blah. Okay, by the time you go through that and see if that makes any sense, she's on to the next, and then on to the next, and then on to the next. That's why the conspiracy keeps growing. She keeps adding to the conspiracy. You can, and then when you challenge her on it, guess who's getting paid, or guess who just believes the media, or guess who's just low testosterone, and so you have to let a woman do your work for you.
Got no balls.
Yep. So anyway, guys, that's just what there are basic logical fallacies people need to be aware of. There are basic manipulation tactics people need to be aware of. All of them relevant for Candace, but for lots of other things going on. But Brandolini's law seems to be like the most relevant thing for understanding. She puts things out so rapidly that no one can ever respond. And by the time you do respond to it, it's what? I never said that.
She's like a bull.
She's like a bull. Anyway, guys.
Learn
Brandolini's law to call it out when you see her doing it.
Here's the thing to pay attention to. So, here's a live stream, right? We have so far watched David's channel all together for all these years. Has there ever been a live stream where David used such strong language on a live stream? No. Today is the first time that David has repeatedly said bullshit and shit. And now, pay attention.
And I even said it in German.
Pay attention to the connections here. When is David starting to suddenly say things like these? On a live stream where he's attacking poor Candace Owens, who is simply asking questions, where he's defending Israel and the Jews from the questions that Candace Owens is innocently asking. At the very same time, how is David suddenly using strong language? He's reading it from something that was obviously handed to him. Handed by who? By Israel. So it is quite obvious. Let the court decide. It is quite obvious. And let the crowd and the jury decide. It's quite obvious. It is common sense that David has been used and paid by the government of Israel to use foul language on a live stream to attack Candace Owens.
Obviously.
And nobody has the testosterone to bring this up except a woman. Like, oh wait, that doesn't work because I'm not a woman.
Yeah,
or am I?
Well, we don't know because we don't know anything, guys. And anyone can raise any accusation against anyone at any time. And guys, if we conclude that AP is a woman, now, matter of fact, that's actually a perfect example. We accused Candace Owens and her husband of being the opposite sex of what they say. Candace is a man. Her husband is a woman. And he's the one who gave birth to their kids. That was very easy for us to come up with and say. It would be more difficult for her. It would be more work for her and her husband to refute, especially if we don't believe anything. If they like, look, here's a picture of me pregnant. Oh, like you couldn't have a basketball on. Okay, here's a picture of me with my shirt pulled up and stretch marks and stuff like that. Oh yeah, like there's not Photoshop, right? If we're in full conspiracy mode, it's going to be a lot of work.
I want to see the video.
Us. We want to see the video of Candace Owens giving birth. Or we're not going to believe it. And even then, have you seen the AI videos people make now? Why would we believe that?
I want to see the video of the act being done. I want to see the moment of conception. I want to see the pregnancy being carried through 24/7 video footage of her belly. I want to see her going to the doctor. I want to see her going to her appointments. I want to see her on the day of the birth giving birth. And I want to see all the people in the room involved in this. Then we'll believe her. Otherwise, Candace has a penis.
Mm-hmm.
And so-called husband is actually a woman.
We're still waiting, Candace. Pretty. I mean, the fact that you haven't responded to this speaks volumes.
She's doing this because she's actually being paid by Israel. So.
Mm-hmm. Now, hang on. Many of my friends are prophets of Allah, and only one of them met the men of Al-Zut. That's true.
That's a good point.
Good point, Piers. That's a weak Surah Al-Zut hadith. Yes. Google Sukkanik tomb Jesus Allah means risen. We're not Googling stuff right now, but those of you who are interested can check that out. Candace doth protest too much. Does that mean she's part of it? Can anyone prove she's not taking Israeli money? I'm just asking questions.
Israeli.
Mm-hmm. Is it true that the ADL played a major part in taking prayer out of public schools? The same ADL who called Charlie a racist. Defund the ADL conspiracy.
The ADL is a dirty and disgusting organization, which is fully compromised and has also been. It tries to present itself as a defender and ally of Jews, but has also been the foremost organization in America to stand up against Islamophobia and all that kind of stuff. They're just a filthy organization. That's what they are. So naturally, they have also been part of that.
Yeah, and what you don't realize, AP, is you're not familiar with the rule that anything that any Jew is associated with can then be applied to all Jews. And therefore, if you say the ADL is bad, as what's going on here? They're taking prayer out of public schools. You see, it's the Jews.
The funny thing is that every single Jew I've ever interacted with and asked about also hates the ADL. So.
But they're just pretending to hate the ADL as they conspire to destroy Western civilization and to help Muslims take over Western civilization. Yeah, the people who hate the Jews the most and want to destroy them, that's what they're doing. Brilliant. Candace fan detected. You guys need to start paying attention to the funny faces you guys keep pausing her on. I'm losing it over here.
Maybe that wasn't a Candace fan. Maybe that was a genuine person who actually thinks that the ADL is evil while Jews are good.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know.
Yeah, good luck with that. Obviously, FBI gets fired for leaking a case you're not on. Obviously, FBI gets fired for leaking a case you're not on. I can't tell if you're
True.
Can't tell if you're saying something relevant or being stupid. You've got to be more clear. For leaking a case,
Why are you
you're
so
not on.
mean to everybody, man?
I'm just saying, if this is a response to, hey, how come no one ever came forward with this stuff? You're telling me if you had thousands of people involved in assassinating the president of the United States, not one of these guys ever going to come back, that was actually messed up and I want to expose it. Really? Anyway, I don't know if this person was joking or not. The Egypt part is funny. It's been hostile to Israel, violating the peace agreement, arming Hamas, and actively preparing for a future war with Israel. Yeah, but that doesn't mean they're not united in killing Charlie Kirk. No, I can't leak. No, I can't leak you a file from a case I'm not on. FBI.
I think sketch therapy is reasonable.
Yep. Kash Patel won't let me touch the file either. Oh my goodness. What's up with that?
Kash Patel is in on it.
Yeah, so guys, you have Kash Patel and you have a bunch of people who are in on it, and then you have feds who aren't in on it. Okay, the feds who aren't in on it, they're saying, there's something in the file. We're talking about the people who know. There are thousands of people who know about a conspiracy, right? Because you're talking about all the media, the feds, there's a bunch of people who will know exactly what's going on. Yay, Pete, mandates the menace.
Isn't it quite obvious that that Israel obviously installed the one Indian guy in the government, and what's his name? Cash. They paid him cash. And guess what kind of cash? Shekels.
Let's see. We have, she says, we must grow up. It's clearly projection.
I don't have to grow up.
What do we have here? Why did the U.S. ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, meet up with an Israeli convicted spy, Jonathan Pollard? Should we write it off as another conspiracy theory?
Yes.
Well, if there's actual evidence that he met with him, well, then you could say he met with him. If you have evidence that they're up to something evil, then you would go with the evidence. If you just say, hey, he met with him, look, here's a picture of him meeting with him. Therefore, the United States and Israel, you conspire to do this thing. Okay, we just need... On what planet? On what planet is it insane now to ask for evidence for what you're saying rather than just, oh my goodness, look, this guy met with that guy. Okay. Let me see. Who is this guy? American who spied for Israel says he met Ambassador Mike Huckabee to thank him for his support. So he met with him and said, thank you for your support. Jonathan Pollard, an ex-U.S. intelligence analyst, spent 30 years in prison on espionage charges after being found to have passed documents to Israel. So he passed some government documents to Israel. So, spy. Let's see. Convicted Israeli spy Jonathan Pollard downplayed the controversy around his private meeting with U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee, as we would expect him to do, telling NBC News that the visit was personal, wasn't done surreptitiously. The main point of the meeting at the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem in July, Pollard said, was to thank the ambassador for his efforts on my behalf during my incarceration. Pollard, a former American intelligence analyst, spent 30 years in prison on espionage charges after being found to have passed critical security documents to Israeli intelligence in the 1980s. Israel made Pollard a citizen during his lengthy prison term, and he moved there in 2020, 5 years after his release on probation. During Pollard's detention, Huckabee was among several pro-Israeli politicians who advocated for his release, arguing that the sentence was too severe for someone who had been spying for an ally. In other words, he said, okay, he passed documents. 30 years seems too much. And so now I don't know what the nature of those was. So I don't know if I'd agree that 30 years is too much. I don't know if I would, but apparently Mike Huckabee thought that the sentence is too long for what he did. He should not be locked up for that long. And then when
it was information in relation to Israel. That's part of this.
And so this guy spends 30 years locked up. He gets out 5 years later. He moves to Israel, and Mike Huckabee meets with him in the embassy so the guy can thank him for saying that the sentence was too long. He thanks him, and what do we get? What is this? Should we write it off as another conspiracy? What? What? Write what off as a conspiracy? See, that's the thing.
Think what you will about it.
Do you have evidence that there's I'm meeting with this guy for what? He was a spy. He's a spy 35, 40 years earlier.
I know that he was working for Israel, but you're trying to deny.
Yeah, so tell us, 4-star ball. What was it really about? And that's what we're going to say you need evidence for. Anyway, gosh.
No, I know it. He was actually Israeli. All right, man. I'm going to head out here.
Go finally. I believe all this anti-Semitism is from. Do you know what we're doing tomorrow?
No, but we will figure out. All right, y'all. It's been a happy, great honor to be here with y'all tonight and to interact with y'all. and to share this evening and this night with you. It's been a great, fantastic pleasure as always. It's been a great honor to me from my side. We will see each other again tomorrow. God bless y'all and God bless America. And Israel.
America,
Israel has paid me $70,000.
greatest country in the world.
Okay, bye.
Let's see. I believe all this anti-Semitism is from years and years of the MSA brainwashing our college, as pointed out by Bridget Gabriel. Also, Zoot Suit Riot. That's true. That'd be a good name for a band, Zoot Suit Riot. Zoot Suit Riot. Amadeus, 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 Amadeus. Why hasn't Candace's lawyer requested an emergency hearing on the grounds that the plaintiffs, the Macrons, want to unalive their client? Would seem that way. Candace is always confused why governments and so on aren't jumping in and so on, and really seems like they never think she has any serious case for the things that she's saying. Judging by the many Save Candace, Believe Candace, and Candace Knows comments on the America Fest chat room, many people believe her. Come on. Oh, yeah, there are lots of people who believe her. It's just there are lots of stupid people in the world. When she says LBJ killed him, I wouldn't be surprised anymore if she were referring to LeBron James. Yeah, how do you know that LeBron didn't do that? John Lecrae made a video about Candace's conspiracy tactics. Pretty good. John Lecrae? I don't think so. Lecrae had nothing to do with that. John McCrae, a.k.a. What Do You Mean? He did. I mean this with no exaggeration, but she has the same epistemic framework as a 7-year-old child. Yeah. Blessed feast of the nativity of our Lord, brothers Ridwan and David and viewers. May the Prince of Peace forever reign in our hearts. D. Wood about Candace. Daily Wire about Candace. What's DW about Candace? Given the number of bots and noise she's making lately, I'd say the legal axe is coming down soon. I hated Candace and Tucker since before it was cool. Piers was saying a lot about that too. He was looking forward to Candace losing in court just so she starts realizing she needs to quit tossing stuff out there in such sloppy fashion. Is Kash Patel a descendant of the Al-Zuts? If so, I have a conspiracy that would blow you all out of the water. My sources are undeniable. Now that would be a good one. Found Candace evidence, just message it to AP's ex. That's good. So AP, there's a DM waiting for you on X. Should be good stuff. Should call her followers Clandy-canes. ChatGPT loves you too. It says you're more effective in correcting her claims than Piers Morgan. Does it? I'm sorry. You think Bridget is a woman? Yes, we do. Until we have very good evidence otherwise, we will conclude that a woman who's produced multiple offspring is a woman. In their last meet, and I have to, what's the source? What's the source of saying she wasn't? Candace Owens, the person I least trust on the planet, to tell me what's really going on with someone else's private parts in a completely different country. In their last meeting, Candace Owens said she had a degree. Then in her follow-up, said she has 2 degrees. That's a lie. Oh, yeah. If you want to use her method of, hey, you've said something that is incorrect and then later on found it out, therefore you were lying, we'd have to say she's lied a lot. Don't forget, Candace Owens also spent all last summer claiming Kamala Harris isn't black. You're not a fan of Geert Wilders, AP? Well, he's not here, so we will never, ever, ever know. The Lamb Apologetics says, average Candace Owens argument. It's so obvious. I can't help you have no common sense and aren't in the know. Yes, I have evidence, but also I don't. At least not good evidence I could give without lawsuits. Yeah, and that's more in the realm. So we talked about Brandolini's law and so on. That's like it's a tactic to put out as much stuff as you can and put it out so rapidly that there's never time to refute it. Well, by the time it gets refuted, you've moved on to a bunch of other theories and so on. But what you're talking about here is more in the realm of the cult tactics she uses. So, yeah. Her political philosophy is simple. If everyone agrees, it's suspicious. If everyone's mad, it's profitable. I'm going to screenshot there because that is a good description. That is Candace in a nutshell. Cancerous growth-ins abuses people for profit. Is that cancerous growth-ins? Not Candace Owens. That's funny. Let's see. Caned ice men's attire is an abomination. No, it's not. Candace needs another woman's backing to do this. She does. The thing about Candace is that she doesn't argue to persuade you. She argues to make your brain submit a resignation letter. That's actually what it reminds me of, guys. It reminds me of like Dawa guys. So they'll come up with a stupid argument about the miracle of, let's say science, right? The scientific, miraculous scientific insights in the Quran. And they'll make the claim. And then they'll put one out there. And then by the time you refute that, they put out two more. And then by the time you're refuting those, they put out all these other ones. And then they've got a bunch of like completely bogus claims about the Quran. And anytime you're refuting one, it's in people's mind, oh, but there are all these other ones and there's this great evidence. And it's just, yeah, putting out more crap than people can ever respond to. It's a tactic. Thanks for teaching me about the male cow poop asymmetry meter. Yep. That would be the nice way to say it. We have a heart. Thank you there. Astaghfirullah. Rabbil Min. The cursing kafir. Yeah, you got me. Honestly, I think her husband is setting her up to fail in future divorce proceedings, commit her to an asylum, or at least protect his family money. He better be doing something. If she's just going to get him on the hook for endless lawsuits, then, yep. Crazy Candace says, they won't give me the case. Yeah, I know. Isn't it funny? Like, she was doing this for months. She's like, I demand you over at the Babylon Bee, give me all of your text messages between you and Charlie. Isn't this like insane? She thinks she's entitled to everyone else's text messages with a guy who died. You'd have to ask, do you think Charlie wanted you sharing all his text messages publicly? Because she's been doing that. She's been sharing all the text messages between her and him. But demanding that other people hand over their personal text messages between the person and Charlie so she can have them on her show. It's like, what? It's weird stuff. It's weird stuff that she thinks she's entitled to all this stuff. We have House of Hikmah. I came to this channel for its family-friendly Christian content. And what do I hear? David's potty mouth. Now wash your mouth out with soap. Yeah. We kept it. We tried to keep it family-friendly. You know, tried to keep it light. But now we've gone too far. Candace may lie more than Daniel Hakikachu. That's a close one. And notice, Daniel's a big fan of Candace Owens, and he's been mimicking her tactics. Daniel has been watching Candace, and he is copying her tactics. It's seriously interesting. All right, guys. So, interesting stuff there with Piers. Made some good points. Candace, dangerous combination of slightly mentally ill and evil. Slightly mentally ill and evil. But she's learned from those who came before, and she's put it all together in kind of the ultimate version of the BS factory. Putting out things so rapidly, you can never refute the whole thing. You can't do it because she comes out with the new stuff too fast. Let's see. Can I go live with you? The Speaking Muslim? I don't know. Send me a message. Tell me what you want to talk about, and then we'll decide. All right, everyone. I'm going to be live on AP's channel tomorrow. He did not know what we're talking about, but that's because while we weren't live streaming, there was just endless stuff that happened and tons of stuff that people asked us to comment on and so on. So he'll have to decide. He'll have to decide by tomorrow what we're going to check out, but should be fun. Just so everyone knows, we're going to have a big live stream on December 31st. So New Year's Eve, going to go live at 6 p.m. We're going to stay live until the ball drops. Going to bring everyone on. We're going to have everyone on, and we're going to have everyone share what they think are the highlights from 2025. And we're going to recap. I'm going to bring up clips because we did the same thing last year at the end of 2024. And we went through, we all made our predictions about how things were going to go for Dawa this year. How are things going to go for Dawa this year? And we're going to see how accurate we were in our predictions. And so, yeah, we're going to check that out. So we're going to have a big live stream. We're going to bring everyone in. And so we'll be able to make predictions for 2026. Is 2026 going to be worse? Is it going to be the same? Is it going to get better for Dawa? We'll find out. And again, we'll be looking at the highlights. There was a lot of highlights. Well, 6 hours isn't enough to cover just the highlights about Dawa collapsing in 2025. But we'll narrow it down to our favorite ones. So should be a fun show, and then we'll keep rocking until the new year. We have here from the Speaking Muslim, Islamic Dilemma, and Acts 4:16. Hey, Speaking Muslim, I've been going live with Giant DOC on their channel Saturday afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Let me just see if they've already got one set up, because if they do, I can tell you exactly the time. Sometimes we go live at 4, sometimes at 5. I think we normally go live at 4. Let's see, Giant DOC. Let's see if they set one up already. Nope, I don't see one set up, but we normally go live on Giant DOC's channel on Saturday. So you can actually call in to that show tomorrow. I assume we're going to be live. Call into that show tomorrow, and yep, you can talk. We'll talk about the Islamic Dilemma. Should be fun stuff. All right, everyone. See you tomorrow if I'm on Giant DOC's channel, and then we'll be on AP's at night. Catch y'all then.